Succession. Been almost 2 years now since I first saw Jesse Armstrong's latest TV venture. When it first blew me away with its naturalistic directing and acting style, its crass humor, and incredible, and I mean incredible, character writing. And recently I decided, why not rank the episodes? It's a pretty damn consistent show overall. I don't think there's really a weak season, so I thought this would be fun, and little did I know it would take forever. Anyway, it's finished now. I've got the list all ready to go. A couple things I want to make clear right off the bat. Obviously this is my opinion. This is just how I personally feel about the episodes. If you have your own ranking, if you disagree, that's totally fine. Different opinions are always good, and if you want to comment or something about your favorite ones, go right ahead. I'd be very interested to see what other people's opinions are. Another thing is, on top of talking about what I love about these episodes, I'll also be analyzing some of the writing here and there, just loosely, for my interpretations, and also different interpretations people have shared on the internet and Reddit and through, different takes on the series, I guess. So not everything I talk about is going to be like my totally original thoughts or anything. I'll point out a few interpretations that I find interesting personally. Some I might agree with and some I might not agree with. And also, I can't talk about everything in this show, obviously, or else this video will be even longer than it already is. So if I don't mention your favorite Succession moment, just keep that in mind. Different things stand out to different people. Anyway, with all that out of the way, we can just get right into the list, starting with number 39.
Yeah! Brooklyn, Bronx, Queens, and Staten, from the Battery to the top of Manhattan!
Yes, unfortunately, I consider the very first episode of this show to be the weakest, and that's for a couple of reasons. For one thing, it was directed by Adam McKay, who I can't say I've never enjoyed anything he's ever done or anything like that, but at the same time, his movies generally just aren't really my thing, even though I do have to give him credit for basically creating the whole visual style for this movie, because it was largely cut from the same cloth as his 2015 movie, The Big Short, even though I would say that most of the cinematography in this show would largely improve going forward. And I'll acknowledge that, the show wouldn't really be what it is if it weren't for his involvement early on, and also he is a producer on the entire show, although I'm not entirely sure how much involvement he would continue to have with the remaining seasons going forward. So yeah, I won't say the look of this episode is necessarily as good as what the show would go on to be, but that's fine. There's a clear reason for that. That doesn't hurt my experience that much. It's more the tone kind of feels off at times. It feels a little sardonic at points, too sardonic, which I know is kind of a weird thing to say about this show. There are certain characters who feel a little bit off, I would say.
Hey, motherfuckers!
Roman feels like almost a completely different person, which really is confusing. He seems way too peppy for the most part. It kind of reminds me how in like the Rick and Morty pilot, Rick's voice just sounds like completely different for the whole thing. Jesus, the first comparison I make in this video is to Rick and Morty. So much for being taken seriously. But at the same time, this episode isn't without its highlights. Greg and Tom's first meeting is excellent. You got old bread. There's plenty of stuff you can analyze about Logan and Kendall's relationship, which is mainly the character focus for this one. Everybody else is sort of relegated to the background. But why really dive into it when we can go deeper with episodes later on? For the sake of time, I kind of just want to move on from what is the weakest episode to me. And that's the thing, it's still pretty good, and I still like it more than the vast majority of other TV shows. And sorry to anyone who really likes the pilot, and I'm just kind of glossing over it, but I don't know, just don't have tons to say about it. I don't love the last shot. It feels not very Succession-y.
Let me tell you something. New York is the greatest fucking city in the world.
Although the homage title to Dogma 1 is pretty clever, I will say. Anyway, let's just head on through to the second least bad episode in the series. Did I say the second least bad? I meant the second most bad. I guess keeping with the season 1 trend, we got episode 3, Lifeboats.
Not iceberg, lifeboats. I said lifeboats, not iceberg.
which is it's a pretty big step up, I gotta say. Honestly, the pilot is the only episode that I think is really lacking. From here, it's pretty smooth sailing. You know, Roman is actually himself at this point. This one's a little straightforward though. It's almost like establishing the status quo in a way after the chaos of the first 2 episodes, especially the second one. Everyone's going into the office, we're establishing some plot threads, for better or for worse, but the real good stuff in this first season is very much still brewing. Kendall is failing to be a good CEO for like the 2 days that he gets the chance. Roman is also there. Motherfucker. One of the best Kendall cringe scenes ever has got to be this phone call scene. Oh my lord.
Oh, come on, man. Fuck off.
It's drawn out for so long, and Jerry just has to watch it happen. Shiv is acting like kind of a menace, trying to see her dad. This is one of those moments, and this happens a lot in this show, where I interpret a scene quite differently on rewatches from how I did the first time I saw it. I used to be on Shiv's side, and now I'm completely on Marsha's. That doesn't mean Shiv deserves what happens to her, but after it does happen, it becomes so obvious that Marsha's not really that sus, and it was better if they just... At that point, I think all that stuff is pretty far from Shiv's mind. Also, Tom had to leave work for this on the first day of his promotion in the middle of a meeting. It's Greg's first day too, and he's not having a great time.
Tom? Tom? Hey, can you help me? Can you help?
My boy Stewie has a fantastic introduction, literally just grabbing pastries off the rack. I feel like the minute I met this guy in the show, I knew like exactly who he was. I'm so glad that Kendall made a bowel movement of a business decision, just so that Stewie could stick around for the whole rest of the show. It's also pretty apt that this deal takes place in a goddamn washroom, and the blocking of Kendall like facing the wall while Stewie's blowing lines just adds tons to it as well. By the way, Stewie and Sandy are introduced in this ep, and together as well, and Greg has a Greg kind of moment.
I think,
So good. I feel bad that I'm kind of just describing things that happen, but this one is mainly just plot stuff, and fairly important plot stuff to be fair, but there's no bottleness or crazy locations. I could give a spotlight to the prop work of Roman's window jizz, but I don't know if that's fully necessary. Yeah, a lot of good character moments in this one. Oh, especially
You are a fucking idiot.
Alright, moving on.
So sorry about the butter, guys.
There's a problem with the butter.
Frozen.
Okay, episode 104. As you can see, we're kind of circling around the same section of the show, more or less. Yeah, not a lot happens in this the first chunk of this one. It all kind of leads up to the big event.
This is how they do it at a Dakota Dude Ranch. This is how we do it at the Wreck Me Bone.
Thank you. I mean, there is some stuff happening, but it's a lot of stuff I don't care about. I don't really like these people. They just kind of sound like the writers.
How do I look?
FIE, Mark. Fuckable in an emergency.
Don't really care about this part of the Shiv plot. I mean, I guess she has to leave her current job, so that can just run its course. The Logan Piss thing is pretty fun, I will admit. Pretty funny because he's so clearly himself, and Kendall's trying to act like he's not. But Kendall wants the job so bad that he's trying to sabotage him in any way that he can.
This isn't a false flag, is it? Did you piss on your own floor?
Even though pissing on a carpet is one of the most Logan things you can imagine, probably. I feel like it's easy for me to forget why this part of the show happens sometimes, because it's the only section where Logan's control is legitimately threatened. So on its face, it feels like it doesn't matter as much. But it does a good job of setting the tone for this being the last year of his life, basically. And if you pay attention, Logan is always a little bit out of it, even though he's still pretty capable. On that note, there's a great subtle moment where Roman is clearly disturbed of the thought of his dad being not himself.
What if he freaks out?
Which is a pretty important character trait for him, and it's crazy to see it so early on.
If he.
Well, no, Rome, it's not an if.
Well, excuse me if I don't want to.
But at the heart of all this, we have Tom and Bill. Good old Bill, the nicest guy in the universe, and it just so happens that he's been sitting on a bomb his entire career. They're both acting so jovial here. It's so unusual for a scene like this. Definitely not your average like spy movie type thing. Also, the way that certain scenes in this show cut and end as well is pretty memorable.
And
footprint.
The ending of this is pretty eventful with the event and everything, although not one of the most interesting events that go down. It is, however, the only one that's run by Connor.
The butter's too cold! The butter is too cold!
I just gotta tell you, handling the ball, it's just not a big deal for me, which is the thing that's so nice.
Thank God he never tries that again. We do, in a way, have the first Greg/Tom betrayal, although what this betrayal means for Tom, I don't think Greg could possibly foresee, so I can't get too mad at him. And Tom did give him the virus after all. Oh yeah, and then Tom thinks it's Shiv who told. God damn it. And the last thing I'll mention is Kendall's speech, which I guess we'll never truly know if it was a joke. If it was, it's not a very good one.
You're doing jokes?
Why does everyone keep saying that? I'm funny.
But let's be real, I could see it either way, honestly. But when he jumps to catch his father as he falls, ugh, we needed that one, gang.
When you figure all this out, come in and see me, okay? And I'll look after you, all right? I'm serious. I will.
And then we got 102. Yeah, solid bottle episode. I mean, Logan is in the hospital, a lot of early character development, first Mark Milad directed episode as well, so it feels more like Succession, I guess. This is the first episode shot by Andrzej Parek, which I'm sure I'm saying wrong. Looks considerably nicer than the pilot. I think this has one of Jerry's first scenes. In retrospect, it's pretty crazy that she wasn't at Logan's birthday party, but I guess that's just pilot syndrome. Her first scene with Roman is nutso. Who would have thought that would turn into something? I mean, it's pretty prototypical Succession. Like, the CEO conversation is a conversation that will be had again many times over, including between these three. Again, it's that sets the tone for the whole series.
I love you, man, but you're not a serious person.
I love you, but you are not serious people.
And Kendall uses Roman to get what he wants, which is smart. It's one of his only areas of control, and pretty much a surefire win against Shiv, because proposal to Shiv as well, which is one of Tom's most shitty moments. But like at the same time, like I can't tell how manipulative he's purposefully being.
And I wanted to do something to make all this better. And I thought, well, your dad's still with us, wouldn't that be a nice thing? We can get a quick wedding.
Even though, either way, it's objectively manipulative what he does. It's an important episode. Definitely an important episode. Yeah, a lot of good stuff. Not tons to say about it beyond that. Maybe why it's a bit lower down. Moving on.
Seriously, okay, name me one principle that you have.
I don't know, like I'm against racism.
Bullshit, I'm against racism. Everybody's against racism. What else?
Okay, we're breaking out a season 1 purgatory with Vaulter, which is, I guess, the weakest episode of season 2, which is arguably the strongest season. But it's early season 2, before we really understand where season 2 is going. It might not even have as many great isolated moments as something like Lifeboats, but I think it's more emotionally effective overall. Kendall's basically at the heart of this, and he's in his shit-eating era. He has to essentially corporately destroy the company he wanted to rope in to Waystar in the first place, which, while it was certainly a contentious relationship with Lawrence Yee, I wouldn't say their falling out hits as hard as like Kendall and Stewie's, for example.
Kendall Roy is no longer relevant.
It's definitely viscerally embarrassing to watch him do some of these things, and it's a very slow process as well. It takes a lot of this episode. I find Ken's state of mind at this point very interesting. He steals batteries at the very end, and I've heard different interpretations as to why he does this, but I think a lot of it has to do with his guilt, maybe, after the events of the season 1 finale. You already know. I feel like he's doing this weird thing where he's feeling so guilty that he's like committing to his own bad person narrative in order to both self-harm and also remind himself that he's not a good person, but also sidestep the source of the feelings and just pile on more shit almost as a distraction. Wow, and just like that, we're trying to psychoanalyze Succession characters. Jesus Christ. What else is going on? Well, we start in this show's version of Disneyland, I guess. Honestly, it looks like the worst theme park ever. I don't even like theme parks. I love how they shot it on like the most depressingly overcast day possible as well.
Look at you, broken robot. Can't even hug your own kids.
Roman seems to be sort of fighting Kendall for clout, but it's not really working because no one takes him seriously yet, and neither of them know who's actually being groomed for the position, so it doesn't even matter. Logan actually listening to him is kind of just a tiny blip of success in an otherwise terrible season for Roman moving forward, so it doesn't really stand out to me, even though I really like what it brings out of Kendall, and Roman too, actually.
I thought your dad agreed with you.
Yeah, he did. And now they're doing it. They're actually doing the thing that I said.
None other than Sid gets introduced in this one too. It was such a fascinating character. The fact that Succession took this pristine, gorgeously shot, like billionaire level office space and can insert a character who perpetually looks like she just came out of a dive bar is something that I treasure.
You look charming.
Okay.
She sounds kind of drunk all the time. Her and Tom's first discussion is wonderfully passive aggressive, but she does bring up some solid points about Tom's purpose in this whole thing.
You know, he sends me one of you every 4 years. That train is never late.
I mean, it doesn't really change anything about how ATN operates. What they do get done is just firing a shit ton of people, which, I mean, what else does corporate governance really boil down to at the end of the day, am I right?
No comment! No comment! No comment!
You don't have to say
no
that.
comment!
You don't have to say that, Greg. Just don't comment.
Okay, episode 301. This might feel wrong for some people, because I know a lot of people really love this episode. And don't get me wrong, I like it more than the other ones we've talked about so far. It sure was a tall order to kick off the first season back after
The Thing.
especially with a finale like season 2's. And this episode does feel like no other, if I'm being real. It's chaotic.
We were in Sarajevo.
What? To Sarajevo? Excuse me, the fuck?
It's fine, shut up.
Kendall is flipping. Logan doesn't know where to land because he doesn't want to get like extradited. Greg is with Kendall. Jumped out of the car. Everyone's mad at Tom. Jerry can't seem to finesse the Department of Justice, and Carl needs a goddamn sandwich.
I tried to tell him, but
And they have to film all of this whilst social distancing. And Kendall is calling everyone like fucking Jigsaw. Thinks he's so menacing. They basically spontaneously need a new CEO who won't actually be the CEO. Shiv gets it miraculously, and it looks like she might actually get a win after everything in season 2 happened. And she ruins it immediately. It is spectacular. Because she tanks it with Lisa, of course, due to her classic oversharing. One of my favorite Shiv character traits. And I love J. Smith Cameron's delivery of this line too.
It's me.
You're kidding.
It's me.
Also, her and Roman may have had sex that night.
I'd lay you badly, but I'd lay you gladly.
To me, this episode and the next episode kind of feel like one episode almost. And the second half is where all the important stuff happens, and the first half is kind of set up to it. It's a good start. It's a really good start. But it does mostly feel like set up to me, and as an episode alone, it doesn't really stand out in the season. Other than just being the kickoff point, I guess.
You're so hard to riff with. I mean, that is a big career obstacle right there for you. Big.
Lion in the Meadow is another episode from season 3 where bad things are happening, especially between Logan and Kendall.
What?
However, they are forced to spend time together in order to convince Adrian Brody that Sandy and Stewie are not a good choice in the long-awaited shareholder meeting, which is just an episode away. So that's a pretty interesting dynamic. If anything, I just wish there was a little more happening in this one. The whole meeting is a little slow-moving.
Sure, yes.
But there's some really good dialogue along the way. Logan is not doing a good job at all with securing his vote, maybe just because he's in such a bad mood having to be around his asshole son. And Kendall seems to like it when Logan looks weak because it's like the only way for him to look a little more powerful. That gets pushed to the extreme when his dad is literally fainting and he's still looking at Adrian Brody like, see how old this guy is? And the conclusion he ends up coming to is, Kendall's fucking crazy. It's honestly one of Ken's most despicable moments in my mind, and for what? Literally nothing. He just fucks over himself and the company basically, but still makes perfect sense for his character at the same time.
It's not my fault he's an old man who can't climb a fucking hill.
We're about to lose the company at the shareholder meet, all because you wouldn't give our dad a timely fucking Evian. Good day.
For some reason, this episode happens to contain one of the craziest Tom and Greg love scenes ever. One of the most memed on as well. And it's all because of like Tom is going to jail maybe, and Shiv has her new position, but the only thing that she can seem to control is Tom. And things she asks Tom to do either go over horribly off screen or don't even end up being necessary, i.e. convince Greg to switch lawyers. So he's just feeling down in the dumps, he's feeling useless. And then in a very roundabout way, I won't recap it all here.
Nero and Sporus, this is not IP I'm familiar with.
Well,
he alludes to keeping Greg as his sex slave, and Greg seems to be flattered by this, at least for a moment. And then Tom just goes nuts. Like he is not doing well at this time. I guess he tries to make a hard left turn back into like bro-ness, and then this just sends everything into disarray.
Come on, let's have a little punching match.
No.
I mean, what else is there to say about it, really? Nero and Spores. Nero and Spores is an S tier scene, don't get me wrong.
Kenny.
Austerlitz.
Welcome to Austerlitz.
Don't forget about Austerlitz.
Austerlitz.
As I seem to have. I always think about season 1 and I'm like, okay, there's Who Said Are You On? And then there's Prague, right? No. There's
Austerlitz
as well. And then I'm pleasantly surprised by it when I watch it, and then just kinda don't think about it again. I also always get it mixed up with Argestes as well, which is a much better episode. Spoilers. Both of those are like location episodes though, and I do like a good location ep. But you know, we're still in season 1, it's nothing too crazy. Although it's got the pretty funny setup of Logan wants to get a photo op of them doing family therapy. Then the therapy goes as you'd expect it.
I feel I need to check my emails.
It's not a feeling, Dad.
Even Connor's pretty finished after like 5 minutes. What probably stands out to me the most is seeing Kendall fucked up for the first time, because he shows up after the therapist is gone. Just, yeah, Jeremy Strong's performance is pretty insane, honestly. And it becomes clear from how he's communicating that part of his motivation for using is to feel less powerless against Logan. Just seeing him withstand Logan's scrutiny far better than he has done for the whole season really gets me thinking about that. Also, the humor that comes from this, the car scene.
I'm trying to drive the car and not have a Weembalay in my fucking face. Alright, that's enough.
I wonder how much of the scene is just like ad-libbing. I mean, it could just be really great acting, but either way, it feels so natural. Stuff like that really reminds me of some of my favorite, like, realist directors, like Robert Altman or John Cassavetes. I know that probably seems like a weird couple of people to bring up in the context of this, but I think it applies. Oh, an amazing last scene with Kendall as well, which I think sets up perfectly what Kendall is for the rest of the show, basically, with him doing like the detox thing of climbing up a mountain, and in his moment of accomplishment, he just takes a bump. Beautiful.
And as you know, an entry key card was found and passed to me. So that's one individual outside of our loop, but who's known to me and who I consider secure.
Okay.
Episode 201, though they've all been brought out to the summer palace where there is a rotting animal and everyone can smell it.
God, that's bad. What the fuck is that?
Pretty odd mise-en-scène. Just have like a gross smelling thing the whole time.
It smells like the cheesemonger died and left his dick in the brie.
So there's so much in this episode happening on like a character level that it's honestly kind of hard to know where to start. I mean, that's kind of the vibe of this meeting. Nobody wants to offer their ideas because they don't trust each other, because they all need a plan for the takeover bid stuff that obviously Kendall brought about. Shiv has already tried to get in Roman's head, and good on him for sensing that, although it's not going to help him much, unfortunately.
I think you're a super talented superstar, and I love you.
Oh, you're such a fucking bitch.
It's very weird that her approach to fucking him up is to give him confidence, and it kind of works, honestly. Because when we get to Logan basically interviewing them all secretly, Roman has the most bullshit answers. He barely even knows what he's talking about, but he of course seems to think he's doing really well.
Keep it. It's a toy shop. Keep running it for sentimental reasons until you nod out.
Shiv, on the other hand, actually makes it seem like she doesn't care if Logan just sells the whole thing, which he's been doing the whole show up to this point, arguably, but he calls her bluff pretty hard, which is a major Shiv development. We'll talk more about this subplot as it's happening, but god, this is a tough scene to sit through.
This is real.
This is real. Remember this.
Especially with the context of where it goes later. What's even harder to sit through is the scene where Kendall confronts Stewie. First of all, I think the contrast between the bright summer palace and then this like basement club thing is super effective. But also Kendall's just inability to talk to anyone about what happened, including this guy who is like ostensibly his friend, and that's even addressed in this scene.
There's a friend card here if you want to play it. You know that, right? There's a human thing standing in front of you. You can talk to me.
But when Ken just can't, Stewie goes off on him, of course.
I saw your plan, and my dad's plan is better.
Fuck you too, you pusillanimous piece of fucking fool's gold.
Because I'm sure he knows it is something, but Kendall does just such a good job of hiding behind this slime ball persona. Yeah, really good start to an excellent season. Mainly just setting stuff up, but entertaining nonetheless.
Greg, fuck your grandpa.
Yeah, okay, you're on speakerphone, Tom.
Well, I shouldn't be, Greg.
Ewan's here, everybody. We haven't talked about Ewan even once, but it's his first episode chronologically, so there you go. So it's Thanksgiving. It's the only holiday episode in the whole show. We don't get a Christmas, but we get a Thanksgiving. I mean, Thanksgiving is a kind of easy one to do, I guess. I know The Bear had that Thanksgiving episode. No, wait, no, it didn't. That was Christmas. Okay, never mind. Yeah, this is weird. I have almost nothing to say about this one. Well, there's a handful of good bits, I guess, but it doesn't do tons to drive the story along other than having Greg get his hands bloody, I guess. I mean, Ewan's pretty important, I suppose. I don't know, for some reason I'm just barely even impassioned to structure this segment. I mean, we've all been there, right? But I don't want to get the fans of this episode mad. Here, I'm just gonna list off the stuff that really sticks out to me in this one and give you my honest feelings about it. And it'll just be a splatter painting type approach. Hopefully that'll do some amount of justice. Okay, starting off, Greg and Ewan have a long drive. It's very funny, and even funnier that this is Ewan's first scene ever.
No music. No chatter. Keep your mind on the driving.
Tom needs someone expendable to delete files, and he can't trust Sylvester, obviously.
Sylvester? Did you use a fake name?
I think Sylvester's his real name.
Who's called Sylvester?
So Greg has to do it while he's high on Thanksgiving evening. It's moments like this where I really feel like Nicholas Braun's performance might be one of the most impressive in the whole show. Logan shows Willa his medals he's collected, which stands out to me because it might be Logan at his most pathetic.
Excuse my ignorance, but did you win any of these?
Of course not. He never served.
Is it okay if I...
Oh. Maybe don't touch.
And Willa is like the perfect character to be in this position as well. Kendall's tried to seed doubt in everyone because he wants his dad out.
Is it true about the coffee? He's not right.
And he latches onto Ewan very transparently. The way he's smiling and nodding when Ewan's going off. And
He's so annoying.
Logan's been acting like an abusive asshole towards Iverson in flashes throughout the night.
You lose. You lose.
It's not my favorite Logan slapping someone scenes, but it is legitimately emotionally effective. So that's what stands out to me the most, and maybe the fact that I can't get more excited about it has something to do with its placement on this list. I mean, I can't say that there's anything wrong with it on paper.
He pissed on my fucking floor. What if that got out?
Let's just move it along.
Can I suggest a hug?
You serious? What is it? What?
Yeah, I'm serious.
Why?
Just, come on.
Okay, so now we got Prenuptial, which is a nice little pun title, I suppose. This is a lot like the very start of season 3, where this is like almost a 2-part situation, and incidentally I like the second part to this way more. There's a lot of setup here. Kendall is getting ready to fuck his dad. corporately, like in terms of business. You know what I mean. But that doesn't happen yet. Tom tries to confront Shiv about cheating, but it doesn't go over well. This kid is around. You can see how this all sort of builds up to the finale, but you know, it's all just kind of planting seeds for the moment. Like I said, the takeover bid is brewing, but Kendall, with a slick combination of terrible foresight and misplaced trust in Frank keeping secrets for him, completely ruins their plan of execution. Sure as hell pays the price for it.
What can I say? Best man won.
As in?
My frustration with Shiv and Nathan reach an ultimate peak when we see him literally at their wedding. Like, Shiv, come on, man. She even uses Tom to get, like, information about cruises just to help freaking Gil, who she just ends up ditching pretty soon anyway. And Gil, I guess this is the first time me mentioning this, but I just straight up don't like Gil.
I want to take him out. I want to destroy ATN.
Even given the fact that he's a catalyst for some really great moments later on. I don't know, I feel like some of it might be to the fault of the writing here and the way he delivers the lines.
Give me something salty, Shiv. Give me a stick of dynamite I can shove up his fucking ass.
They just don't do it for me. So yeah, this whole subplot can just go screw itself in my opinion. Not the Shiv and Tom stuff, that's all pretty important, just Gil and blech. At least Greg tries to put a stop to all of this. I think what makes Greg and Tom's relationship so special is that it's basically the only honest one out of anybody here, arguably.
We have a bond.
You do?
Yeah, sure. I was an outsider once.
Like Shiv and Tom constantly playing each other, the siblings constantly playing each other. Roman and Jerry has this like inherent scamminess that they're both kind of aware of. But Tom and Greg are a bit of a reprieve from all of that. They are entirely open with each other for the most part.
Are you threatening me? You can't threaten me, I'm immune.
No, Tom, I was just thinking about advice.
And they succeed because of it. There's even a moment in this scene where Greg says,
I'm trying to help you.
Like so directly and so genuinely, and it's like you kind of feel for him in that moment.
So, good.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
All right.
And you don't want to hear at
No, I
least
don't want to hear anything, Greg.
And the way Matthew McFadyen plays it in like an ultra wide shot where he shoves Greg to the ground and then just starts jogging away and gives him a wave as he's leaving. That's so good. So yeah, decent episode overall. We do get a really great introduction to Caroline. Like I said, it does kind of hinge on the finale and honestly kind of feels unresolved by the end of it.
We bought the Hearts.
Hearts Football Club?
Mm-hmm.
Why? Dundee. So it's season 2, and we're in the half of season 2 where we're everywhere but New York, basically. Right now we're in Scotland for like a Loganathon all-night retrospective extravaganza thing.
Is he about to strip?
That I guess Rhea organized. Rhea. We haven't talked about Rhea yet. I love Rhea. Well, she organized this thing and all the siblings are trying to screw her over.
You regularly tested for sexually transmitted diseases?
Since I guess they're all threatened by her, especially Shiv. Things get delightfully awkward for a little while, but since it's a siblings plan, it's really lame and petty at the end of the day. This episode definitely has some highlights. It's a pretty nice reprieve from the chaos of the season for at least a little bit. I don't know, I kinda love the chaos.
There it is. What am I supposed to do?
I think maybe a photo. They've said you can go in.
No, thank you. Let's go.
Logan is not having a great time though. Character moments involving Logan's trauma are always interesting, including this scene where Logan is traumatized by Kendall in real time.
My boy Squiggle cooked up this beat for me. Check it. Born.
Fitting revenge after the previous episode, I guess. Or maybe Kendall just really wanted to do that. It's hard to tell because it's embarrassing for both of them. The great thing about the whole cruise subplot is that we get to continuously see it come up at the worst times, like while we're at this gala thing.
So I hereby convene the meeting of the newly formed What the Fuck Are We Gonna Do committee.
They're just standing in a circle trying to think strategy around this horrendous, despicable controversy and this like beautiful palace thing. Their lavish gowns. This whole setting is like gorgeously shot, by the way. Shiv decides that Logan should at least have the night off, which is perfect because whistleblower's about to drop and he's gonna go announce Rhea as the CEO at like the worst time for her. So that's her revenge for Rhea fucking her over in the last episode. And Shiv's performance in this moment is so subtle that I didn't even clock the first time I watched it that that's like what was happening. But all the pieces really just fall into place perfectly.
Just trust your gut. Yeah.
It wasn't without a little manipulation on Shiv's part, sprinkled in there as well. I do really love this scene between these two.
Like, I know you hate all this bullshit, so I'll just say, fuck you, Dad, and I wish we were having wine instead of being in here with all these people who are scared of you.
It's just kind of a sweet moment where he's surrounded by corporate dick riders, but there's one person who just feels genuine for a moment. It's kind of nice, even though it comes right after him calling Shiv a fake leftist.
Yeah, but you fucking get it. You fucking get it.
She just kind of goes with it, because she kind of is at the end of the day. Yeah, so it kind of puts the cruise stuff on the back burner for a little bit. I think it's all necessary and everything, but if I'm thinking about personal preference, I just love some of those other season 2 episodes more.
Any other man would have died from the shame.
You're mean. You're mean. You're a mean old man. You're a mean old bastard. And you're scaring me right now, and that's why I don't even know what to do.
Okay, so the siblings are trying to start their own company, and it's cringe.
I feel like we said iconic, and you guys are leaning ironic.
Yeah, it's episodes like this where it really makes me think that their existence is a light one. They both suck at doing their own thing, and they suck at trying to do their dad's thing as well. I'm getting ahead of myself. This is the lowest we're gonna see a season 4 episode, and it's an episode 1 once again, but they're getting the ball rolling. This one is more exciting to me than the season 3 premiere, that compared to the rest of season 4, you know. Logan wants PGN again to inflate himself, and it's actually gonna work this time, it seems, until the kids catch wind of it. They all just gradually drag each other back into being obsessed with Logan. You know, I know the 100 is like the worst idea ever, but at least it was an idea, you know. Roman is the only one who's sick of the emotional angle, which makes sense seeing how it plays out twice already with his siblings. Anyway, this whole episode is just a great way of showing how useless the kids are.
Tell them to get their own fucking idea. It's pathetic.
Literally just putting them against Logan in a bidding war. It's awesome. It's so exciting to watch them go back and forth. And it's crazy just how little they've like picked up over the years from Logan's tactics.
Congratulations on saying the biggest number, you fucking morons.
Maybe they're actively trying to move away from that, but like, you gotta admit, his approach makes more sense. I think it's also really smart commentary on the current hyper-capitalist landscape where exorbitant sums of money are just kinda thrown around. Also, they're the Roy kids, and they have no actual concept of what money even is. I mean, again, Roman really does try.
500 times $1,000 of actual money that we could be spending on fucking snowmobiles and sushi.
We also see a side of Logan that we really haven't before on his depressing birthday, which is a little bit of foreshadowing. But he goes somewhere with Colin, and they have a conversation. Judging by the vibe, it's the first conversation they've ever had. And it kind of makes you realize how alone in the world Logan really is, and how he can't really connect with anyone. You won't even let Colin finish a sentence, really. He might as well just be his dog or something.
My dad is very religious, but
Tom and Shiv break up in this episode as well. They pretty much haven't actually communicated once in this show to this point, because Tom really wants to talk to Shiv about, you know, how she hasn't once given a shit about him, but Shiv doesn't want to do that, because that's too hard. So she tells Tom to shut up, and that they'll fight about it later. And yeah, I mean, at least he's got his disgusting brother.
Hear you and Greg call yourselves the Disgusting Brothers now.
Oh man, how'd that secret get out? Greg was so discreet.
The Disgusting Brothers on a motherfucking tour.
The Scorpion. Because...
It's funny.
Because... why?
Okay, we got Tailgate Party. This one is a lot higher on this list pretty recently at the time of me recording this, but after revisiting again, it is kind of being carried for me by the Shiv and Tom fight, and there isn't necessarily the most happening apart from that. We're pretty much in one single place the whole episode, and that's not inherently a bad thing, but there aren't tons of moves happening. Everyone is just kind of against everyone else at this point. Shiv is working against the bros on the deal tanking thing, so she invited Mattson to this pre-election party thing. Both sides are trying to glaze up Nate. He's a channel to the future president, and the only thing Kendall and Roman can think of now to block the deal is to rely on government regulatory bodies, which don't even do much in the first place. What a pathetic plan. How can anyone take them seriously? They're trying to ruin a deal that their entire company is publicly in support of. Kendall also decides at the end of the episode, after the fudged Gojo numbers come to light, that he wants to cut Roman and Shiv out and then eat Gojo somehow. I honestly don't know why they introduced this. I'm pretty sure this plan never comes close to coming into fruition. I mean, the numbers don't really end up being effectual either, but that's purely because we just don't have the time at this point in the show. Like, it might cause issues for Gojo like months down the line, but like, we only have days here. It's mainly just fuel to make Shiv waver and Kendall more confident, and it adds to Matsson's character too. Kendall's plan though, I don't really get being here, and it kind of brings the episode down a little. Oh man, I love Greg's first little scene at the beginning. I don't know if it's the directing or the acting, but Nicholas Braun's awkwardness is just like on point as usual. He like loses his spot at one point.
Today is your final day of employment. Final day of employment.
He's like a high school student. It's so funny. He later gets assigned by Kendall to like get Matsson more high. I don't know why he's trusting Greg to do that.
I guess he occasionally has expressed a distaste in the past for my particular flavor of me.
He just ends up in a better spot with Lucas.
Not a good person.
And acts like a total scumbag in the process. Jerry's character is basically concluded in this episode, along with her relationship to Roman.
I could have got you there.
It's honestly sad, but I mean, he was never gonna make it work. Who are we kidding? Roman isn't facing a single emotion this season too. It's bad.
I would hate to lose you, so let's why don't we circle back in a bit? Okay?
Yeah, sure, of course.
Shiv realizes she's attached herself to someone who does not respect her enough to do right by her. Sound familiar? Yada yada yada. Okay, let's just get into the Tom and Shiv fight. I've just noticed something. I think every time that Tom and Shiv have a real discussion, it happens outside. We have tons of scenes with them in closed quarters, and they're pretty much always communicating through huge emotional barriers and dishonesty. But the few times they're outside, even this brief moment in Kill List, shit kinda gets real. I think that's really interesting. And Tom didn't even want to have this discussion.
Hey, I'm tired. Let's leave it there. Okay, I'll stop.
You're tired. I get it.
He really tried to get out of it, but okay, here we go. I mean, my take on the whole thing, yeah, Tom was nowhere near a perfect husband, but he did support her even when she was throwing him under the bus. Shiv, on the other hand, almost never gave him the time of day. She could barely even muster up a decent fake emotion at any point. I feel for her because she's constantly in an uphill battle, but at the same time, she is like the worst person to be in a relationship with, arguably. And while Tom can pretty well describe all of this stuff,
Your sense of who you are, Shiv, is that fucking thing. Yeah. I have given you endless approval, and it doesn't fill you up because you're broken.
all Shiv can really do at this point is insult him.
You're a hick.
And then,
conservative
hick.
Even the part where he yells that line.
You were going to see me get sent to fucking prison! Shiv!
And amazingly at that, her response is that he offered, and first of all, that's not the point. Second of all, you actually crossed that line first. That was you.
No, Tom looks logical.
What?
Yeah, this is rough. They're definitely not coming back from this one. Pretty top tier acting from the both of them too. It hits especially hard since they've never gone to this place before. It's such a release. Easily the highlight of the episode.
You read that in a book, Tom?
You're too fucking transparent to find in a book!
I heard he saw your Pierce business plan and choke laughing. Alright.
Okay, this is it. This is your last chance to not get totally spoiled for the late period of this show. If you haven't already watched it, if you haven't gone through it already, and you're watching this video, this is your last chance. You've been fairly warned. Okay, Logan's dead. Logan just died, and everyone is trying to figure out what to do. I really like the way that they handle grief. It's pretty subdued. Everyone looks like tired and kind of annoyed. They capture the experience of having to grieve but also be social at the same time, which is a pretty taxing thing, especially for these characters, I'm sure. Kendall is filmed super closely for this whole sequence.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Roman's grief is a little different though, and we're gonna have to deal with it for the next few episodes, unfortunately. But he's fine, baby. See, it's funny that he says outright that it will probably catch up with him, which it will. This show often telegraphs things way before they fully develop.
Kendall will self-destruct because it's his favorite.
Am I gonna have to go around you? Talk directly to the board. Talk to the old ones.
But it still ends up being shocking when they do, because sometimes it's about the execution. Compare that to something like Breaking Bad, which is a show I love, although the writing in that show has a lot more like shock value to it, because there's a lot more like freak, unexpected shit happening. But that gets on my nerves sometimes. Shiv suggests that they talk strategy, also projecting very hard onto Tom, which does a good job like kind of portraying where the siblings are kind of at right now. Like, he was the one in Logan's good graces, not you guys. Tom is basically going to be playing it defensively. I think, honestly, the most entertaining part about this episode, and I'll go into more detail when you talk about the episode after this, but watching Tom and watching the moves that he's doing with the context of how the show ends, especially, it's like, you don't notice what he's up to at first, but like once you do, then it's like, oh, Tom is playing the long game right now. And I'm not gonna try and say that like he's a puppet master and like, you know, he's trying to get into Roman's head in this scene because he knows like everything that's gonna happen in the rest of the season. But I think he does know how to sow conflict with the siblings a little bit. I think he knows a thing or two about how they screw things up and how to kind of use their relationships against each other.
Would anyone care for a look at the china?
I love this bit. He's like, what's in here again?
Negative case would go, you're a clumsy interloper and no one trusts you. The only guy pulling for you is dead.
Yeah, things get a little dicey with the china, but it doesn't really matter what any of them say because none of them were ballsy enough to flush that piece of paper down the toilet. And now Kendall is CEO, and Roman too, because poetry, it rhymes. The discussion in the library is such a they're trying to be like solemn, but also there are so many different ways to read this thing, this piece of paper. And the second Kendall hears about it, he gets that fire in his eyes again, super defensive.
Well, it sure as fucking shit doesn't say Shiv.
And also seeing the contrast between this and how they talk about Greg, who's also on the piece of paper.
You're an addendum of miscellaneous matters in pencil with a question mark.
Nevertheless,
it kind of reinforces that the Kendall thing does hold water, at least in like just a practical like writing sense, I guess.
Maybe the natural conclusion might perhaps be I'd be his number 2.
Carrie is basically fucked. I mean, this is because of that thing that happened with Roman and Jerry in the previous episode, but for some reason Roman is like the more human person in this situation than fucking Greg.
Here come the waterworks.
Yeah, it just goes to show you where we're at, I guess.
As long as he doesn't do it much during the debates, we should be fine.
Guy must have the wettest lips in North America.
Yeah, it's like he's a cartoon bear and there's always a picnic hamper nearby.
Okay, what it takes. What does it take? Who's to say? Okay, this is a complicated one. Here's where we get into episodes that I have intense feelings about, which I think are intense feelings that the show wants me to have, but they are still difficult feelings to sit with. This whole episode revolves around the Future Freedom Summit, a secret little get-together of a whole bunch of elites to kinda sorta decide who the Republican nominee is going to be for the US general election, which is a pretty sad and lame observation of American politics. This is actually probably the most conspiratorial this show has ever gotten, but you know, this is what conspiracies actually look like. There's no baby harvesting, just a bunch of suits in a room. Anyway, aside from that dose of cynicism, there's a hell of a lot of cynicism coming off our protagonist right now, especially Roman. This is Roman basically at the height of his power, so you better believe shit's gonna get nihilistic. The truth is, for the good of anything, no one should let this man drive a conversation ever, but Shiv and Shiv alone has to fight this uphill battle of not backing a neo-fascist. This guy, I gotta say, the anti-chemistry between these two is crazy. It's so hard to watch. Shiv is trying to act like
it's all red pill, baby. I'm just so fucking over it.
She's not uncomfortable around this guy, and who wouldn't be, but
oh god, he's so fucking boring.
she's cringe, and he's cringe too, but also like evil. Ugh, I hate it so much. And I kinda love it. See, this is what I mean. I don't really know how to feel about this episode at times. There are things I feel pretty great about though, like this hilarious cut.
Be a perfect gentleman. Could also be a terrible bastard.
Your toilet could be a bastard.
Oh man, Tom is an absolute hell, by the way. So is Greg. Both can't sleep. When they go to this diner, they're so anxious they can't even really converse.
That could be a target for all kinds of misadventure.
And it won't taste as good as this either, okay?
They're just saying unrelated things to each other about prison until Greg asks Tom to go to prison for him.
Are you asking if you can hook your bauble of corporate wrongdoing on one of my branches, Greg?
And he accepts. I've already talked about how Tom and Greg's relationship is like no other. Hell, we even get a moment earlier on where Tom literally asks Greg straight up if he's blackmailing him. But this here is just beyond. And it's kind of the right thing to do at this point. For what he's roped Greg into, in my mind, the two of them are square. I'm not done talking about Tom just yet though, because he goes back to the diner to meet up with Kendall. The way they shoot these two as well is amazing. I love this wide shot of them. I love when Tom walks to the car and the camera stays with Ken. Anyway, Tom makes one of the most important decisions of his life, and it's done with this tracking shot, which calls back directly to the shot of Kendall in the last episode of season 2, right before his betrayal, and it's perfect, and it's fucking genius, and it's basically the climax of Tom's subplot of this season, in my opinion. And you know, it's all just like filmmaking at the end of the day. So why isn't it higher? Well, like I said, all the deplorable stuff is hard on my brain, but it's really great. Very, very important episode. Oh yeah, and we learn about Peter Munyon.
What? Who's Peter Onion?
Sorry if last night got a little bit fruity. Jet lag, meds, horseplay, right?
The jet lag. I get the same way.
So the lads go hunting, and things get wild. They're all on this company trip. Logan thinks there's a rat because a bunch of stuff, and he's also on some sort of medication. So I suppose you can argue that this is the closest Succession has come to a whodunit.
Specialty? Murder! I must insist.
A pretty complicated whodunit because there's 3 rats in total. Roman leaked the Pierce deal, which Tom is assigned to vocally push back against it, and someone talked to that biographer lady, and that someone is Mo. Also on the subject of the Pierce deal, it's never really outspoken in the episode, other than that one moment with Shiv, but everybody is kind of trepidatious about the whole thing, presumably because of the actual tangible threat to society that comes with Waystar eating Pierce. I, for one, am pretty entertained by Logan's psychopathy. It's both funny and stressful.
Sit on the floor! It's fun.
Seriously?
Yeah, it's a game.
Boar on the floor is an iconic scene, of course. It's one of those things that's like, how do you arrive at this as a writer? It seems ridiculous. Maybe it all happened in the moment or something. I mean, Tom is wrestling Carl at some point. It goes so far. It's so crazy. But if it wasn't, it would just be a waste of time. Like, the reason why it's memorable is because everybody commits to it. The craziest thing is that Tom knows that Greg also talked to the biographer, and he's all paranoid about that, but he doesn't say anything the whole time. What a display of affection, I gotta say.
Thanks, man.
The whole thing is wrapped up so perfectly and in the funniest way possible.
It was Mo.
Piece of shit.
Mo passed away last night.
I love how much time is spent in this show on things that end up being pointless, but the writing is confident enough to just have it happen anyway, and it ends up moving the story and the characters forward in other ways that you don't expect. Boar on the Floor will always have a special place in my heart, there's no doubt about that, but there's another half of this episode that's just Shiv sleeping with some dude, and she is tethered to this other drama because she's putting all this pressure on Tom.
Better be done next time I call.
But practically these scenes hold very little value, so it brings this episode down quite a bit.
Secret, Greg? But not top secret. Interesting. Just secret, that's smart. Just so people know, you know, that
These are secret.
They're secret, yeah.
This one just keeps growing on me. Return is subtle. It's not drawing a lot of attention to itself. You could even argue it's kind of a transition episode, but it's very important to the emotions of this season. The standout example being Kendall forced to visit the home of the dead waiter. It's some of the best filmmaking in this season. The scene just swallows you. I haven't pointed out sound design much, but it is fantastic here. We see the tonal mastery on display as well, with this really, really awkward exchange that does nothing but add to the drama and sadness of it all.
Do you think I should maybe say something to them?
Logan forcing him to do this just because Kendall's worried about Rhea being too close as well. Such a spiteful, fucked up thing to do to your son. I mean, what else is new? Kendall's suspicion makes sense too. It's not like he saw Rhea fall out with Nan in the previous episode. And it's such a great setup because Logan uses this to play Shiv later on. He knows they don't trust her and that Shiv will believe that she's with Nan.
Happen to know there's a media operation in need of a dynamic new CEO.
And that's how Shiv gets screwed out of CEO, ultimately, being gaslit into thinking she misstepped.
Just be careful, okay? I think I got fucked.
Shiv really has an issue with, like, unloading all of her thoughts to whoever she's talking to.
I've managed to get myself into a situation where what does my dad think is my entire fucking universe.
And it takes Rhea like 15 seconds to get her to that point. But she does it with Tom, she did it with that lawyer woman in episode 301. And I understand why she's like that. She comes from an environment where her emotions are not welcome, and she's still smart enough to not just repress everything. But it does seem like it comes from a place of total self-obsession, which is a quality that definitely comes through in other aspects of her character, like her marriage. There's also a subplot of Roman and Shiv having to go knife their mom with numbers just for like proxy battle reasons, I guess. There's a dinner scene with them and she is the worst cook of all time. Not even in like a bad for Succession kind of way, like McDonald's or something. Like it's actually like the worst thing you can imagine.
There's quite a lot of shot in the pigeon, so mind how you go, you'll crack a tooth. And the shot can take a bit of feather in too.
Shot and feather.
It's so funny how this ends up actually being a pretty relatable divorced parent visit. Another thing about Return is that there's a noticeable amount of moments where there's like possibly improvised lines and then reactions that almost break character. There's a moment where Kendall's making fun of Shiv's memo thing.
Thomas Aquinas and Amelia Earhart really kick us off with a bang.
It kind of seems like he wasn't expecting Holly Hunter to laugh so hard at that, and it made Jeremy Strong kind of laugh as well as a result. A similar thing happens with one of Roman's lines later on.
Yeah, last time I ate there, it was 3 muddy trout for 6 and fill up on mustard.
And Brian Cox lets out this really weird laugh. It's kind of great.
Oh, poor bastards.
Yeah, this is a great episode. Not an absolute all-timer when it comes to season 2, but still really, really great.
Okay, he clearly has mental health issues and crazy guilt coupled with addiction. That's all this is, and it's sad.
Alright, we're in a higher echelon now. We have officially gone from episodes that are great to episodes that are basically perfect. And there's still a lot left if you haven't noticed. First one is, what's it called? The Disruption. That's right. Soundtrack choices. Yeah, this episode has so much happening. They do a great job of setting up little threads throughout this episode. There's the talk show that Kendall is going to go on, the stuff about him showing up at the office, and no one could predict where that was going to go. Not to mention the FBI showing up over and over again, and Logan totally failing to deter the government.
I don't want you to do anything.
Right.
What I want is nothing.
It all flows so well too. Yeah, just really, really dense stuff. There's a lot of character stuff with Siobhan as well. It becomes clear now that she's eating shit for Logan, and that's where she's at in the cycle.
It's you now.
But she's on the inside now, and she's trying to get more information. It's a fascinating position that she's in because Logan is using her and her gender to kind of quell the controversy in a way. Like, oh, here, I've got this woman saying it's not that bad, so that means something, right? At the same time, he's not actually letting her in. He's lying and also literally just talking over her at times.
What is the worst thing?
Not
to be
all
in those
that
papers?
bad.
Are you going to get more cooperative now that you've set the
It's a witch hunt.
Love that. She puts the slightest bit of pressure on him, and then he shows his true colors.
It was a quarter of a century ago. A lot of it.
This whole sentence too, like,
We ran a cruise line out of some tin pot ports registered in bongo hovels, and we poured millions in it. Sure, did we play rough with the odd fucking union boss or some moaning mini repeat litigant? I don't know.
how does a human come up with this stuff? I don't know.
I don't know.
Tom also decides to curse himself right after this really twisted conversation with Shiv, where they don't actually agree that that's something that should happen, but they basically do because he just does it anyway. But it's ultimately shown in this really cool scene where him and Logan are watching the news being recorded, and they're just kind of standing. Really memorable way of doing that. Kendall is still riding his wave of delusion to an extent that I've never truly seen before. He has a moment with Colin, which is one of the best in the episode. It takes so long to cut and let you know that it's even Colin standing there.
What?
Just checking in.
That is a crushing scene.
I know you.
I suppose that's what Kendall fears the most, as we see at the end when that letter comes out. That Nirvana moment is insane.
What's more, personal accountability is one of the 4 core pillars.
What's even better is Shiv's reaction and just her face here. She can't cry, she can't yell, but she can spit. And she ends up releasing this horrible thing that totally smears Kendall in the most respectful, neoliberal way possible. Right before he goes on that talk show, we see his emotional state totally change, and what might be my favorite shot of the whole show. And it's not just due to his performance, but the shot itself just keeps going, and the lighting changes in this super impressive way that adds even more to the feeling of it. There's actually quite a bit of really thoughtful lighting across this episode, and the camera goes from being violatingly intimate to abandoning him. It's astonishing stuff, and after all that, the letter doesn't even really matter because Waystar just got raided, and all the focus will now be on that.
Old lady France, don't fucking bet against the old fucking the baguette. The baguette might be mightier than the bagel.
This is just a fun one. The crew goes to Norway. Hell yeah. And there's going to be a firing list for post-Gojo deal, and we don't know who's going to be on it. That's just a great freaking setup. I mean, the other thing is to figure out where the deal is at, basically. Because the kids want ATN, for the most part.
Fine, get rid of it. It's a toxic asset.
But now Mattson wants it too, so that complicates things.
I think he knows ATN is an emotive issue, and he's being a fucking asshole.
There's a lot of just fantastic Roman and Kendall cringe here. They seem so incompetent in this scene.
So what's
do you
the,
maybe,
in terms of schedule?
we're thinking we could...
They're not vibing at all. I mean, I know they're not doing too great, and Lucas is being a dick, but it's kind of the name of the game here. Like, would Logan let that shit get in the way? Probably not. Anyway, it's a drag that they came in with an ATN carve-out in mind, and instead it's them who are getting carved out of the decision-making process. Shiv has some drinks with Lucas, and they kind of open up a line of communication. She gives him some legitimately good advice if you know how this episode ends.
So you're saying, if I keep offering more and more money, eventually I'll get it.
And we get quite a look into what this guy is really like. It's neat. He's not an overt creepy weirdo, and he's got a little bit of charm, but then he starts going into like, I don't have very good boundaries. And then 5 minutes later it's like, whoa, I like you. I feel so vulnerable. There's also the whole blood thing.
Point 1 might be hard for you, but stop sending people your blood. And then...
Which is probably a more obvious red flag. The very next day, the boys start trying to tank the deal in the most annoying and obvious way possible, like screening Elizabethtron for everyone. Roman literally tells him he knows it sucks, and it's like, okay, why did you make us watch it then?
Are you for real?
What?
In fact, everything to him in the scene is like, how stupid do you think this guy is, seriously?
Hanna-Barbera fucking business school.
He sees right through it, much to their surprise. I love how the scene takes place on a mountain too. I love the blocking. And I love how they shoot Roman throughout this episode too. There's so much happening under the surface. And the moments where they just linger on him are so communicative of that. So after all of this, after Roman yells at him and acts his ass off.
I'm dead. It's over for me. It's okay. It's fine. But you just drag us out here. You inhuman fucking dog man, you.
Kieran, I mean. And then tells him it's a negotiating tactic after Manson literally tells him what he'll do.
Am I gonna have to go around you?
They leave. He calls Frank and offers them more.
192.
Incredible. Okay, it's a negotiating tactic. I'll just offer you more then. And then the way they have to act peachy about it afterwards, oh my lord.
Wow.
You're welcome.
192? Amazing.
After all that, Tom saved his skin. He did everything right. He's the outside man in the best way possible. Well, maybe not in every way, but for the most part, he's in a great fucking position. And Greg, not bad off either.
Mark.
Shit.
Anyway, my baby soon.
Oh man, this is a good one. The Roys have to go to the Pierce's place to sell them on their moral qualities, so they essentially have to act normal for an evening. Very, very different dynamic, and the whole thing almost feels like a comedy setup, and I mean it kinda is, but it is fucking hilarious. No one can really control themselves.
Just have to say, if he contradicts any more planks in my political philosophy, I'm gonna piss in his brake bumper.
Hey,
Logan is trying so hard to like rein them in, but it's just not working.
Romulus, when you laugh, please do it at the same volume as everyone else. We didn't get you from a hyena farm.
Thanks, Pop.
I can't get enough of this dinner scene, especially. Every character has their own side conversation, and Logan just has to watch as everyone is fucking up. And they cut it together really well. It flows great.
It kind of switches back and forth between the circus part is a, metaphor.
For what?
For the anxiety of modern life, Siobhan.
Roman has maybe the most embarrassing night of his life.
We're actually quite relentless in that regard. Just bingo, bango, bongo.
And we get to witness it alongside Jerry. Again, great cutting. It wasn't as bad a night as Shiv had, though. In one of the most intense moments of the season, Shiv throws the whole operation, basically.
For fuck's sake, Dad, just tell him it's gonna be me.
It could not be worse. The Pierces are immediately like, oh, you guys are a mess. Also, I'm a sucker for a slow zoom. If you hit me with a slow zoom, like right before something crazy happens, that moment is just never gonna not be shocking for me, no matter how many times I watch it. And Sarah Snook's acting, holy shit. Is she one of the best facial actors in the show? Fuck, maybe. Everyone's reaction is perfect though, I gotta say. Guess what though? It doesn't matter. Because of what Kendall does. So you get a really good idea of what the Pierces are actually like. All of their ethics and whatnot are performative.
Rosa, have a drink with us.
Oh, I have to finish the dinner.
No, I know, but just one. You never treat yourself.
And it's pretty depressing to see how little they actually care in the end. I mean, in the very end, I suppose they do, but Logan is right, at least in the moment when he says the cynical line.
Money wins.
But Kendall wins too, though, seeing as it was basically him alone who got Naomi's vote. It doesn't help him, though. He's still in a very bad place, and it's all for a horrible cause anyway, which I think he knows.
Yeah, but if we own all the news, I do actually wonder where I'll get my fucking news.
Him and Naomi have really good chemistry in this episode, too, when they're wasted.
Wiggle, wiggle stick, twisty stick is go. Spinny, spinny chicken dinner.
You don't know what you're doing.
It's a shame that we don't really get more of that, like in season 3. And as a bonus, on top of all of that, we're still riding the Roman and Jerry kink wave in a scene that's even crazier than the first one. And like right after Roman gets like totally embarrassed at the dinner table too.
Very smart, very smart.
Can we have some more wine, please?
You trying to seduce me, Tom?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am, Greg.
Whose side are you on, boys? I'm not gonna sing that. Succession does not wait for the last episode of the season to give you the goods. You get the most intense scene in the show up to this point in episode 6. I feel like everyone remembers their first time watching this one.
What the fuck's going on?
All of the build up to it and the disaster that unfolds when Kendall tries to take over the company for the first time. The first like 2/3 of this is sort of a setup, but it's really good setup. Although there's some boring Shiv and Nate stuff mixed in, unfortunately. I do really like the parallel dinner date structure they've got going on with them, and also Greg and Tom. But Roman's also having dinner with Lawrence, which isn't very romantic. We sort of establish a little something between these two here.
I think too much edible gold hurt my tummy.
Greg is like force-fed by Ewan beforehand though, which isn't ideal.
The waste in this city is obscene. Finish it.
Ewan is so goddamn annoying. Like, I honestly had to rank everyone in order of who I'd want to hang out with. Ewan would probably be towards the bottom of the list. Tom isn't scoring super high points with me in this episode either though.
Look, here's the thing about being rich, okay? It's fucking great.
God, do I really have to talk about this scene? Well, it couldn't have really gone worse for Kendall, and Roman is really the one who tanks it. I can't even say I'm like rooting for Kendall when I rewatch this, but it doesn't make it any less effective. When Logan yells at him and he steps back like a scolded kid.
I'm in the middle of turning a fucking tanker! Yeah!
It is devastating. Oh yeah, and soundtrack choices.
You'll either be a Union man or a thug for J.H. Blair.
Deeply ironic soundtrack choices. It's kind of an interesting Godard type shot at the end as well, with all these people noticing the camera. That stood out to me the first time I watched it.
Big shoes. Big shoes. Big shoes. Big shoes.
I only just realized how much I love Living Plus. This is an episode where Ken and Roman actually have power. We're back from Norway or whatever, and we get to see them just operate as CEOs for a little while. It's all centered around this product launch, and they're doing a horrendous job. Nothing they do makes any sense.
Go explosive, Pete.
But at the end of the day, it all goes great, and they're rewarded. That becomes satire. They can harass their employees and bullshit their way through a product launch, and the market will just go with it. And it's like how every media company is run now too, with these massive disconnects. It's like inherent to the structure. All they're doing is trying to inflate their price to evade getting purchased still, which is what they've been trying to do since the last episode.
Matson exhibited some, what you'd call erratic behavior.
Huh. What exactly happened?
They've been lying to Shiv and literally everyone else about it too, but it could not be more obvious.
And how he didn't even especially want the deal.
He didn't want the deal? It smells like a negotiating tactic to me because he made the offer.
This is kind of a depressing point where they're not really trusting each other, and they're all doing their own crazy shit and stepping around each other and exercising power very irresponsibly. Roman especially. He's supposed to speak with a studio exec about ideological concerns involving ATN.
Saying I'm gonna just dump a ton of money on you, and all we want is to get the hit pump pumping.
You know he's gonna fly off the handle with how crazy this score cue is. Like the tonal center is all out of whack. It sounds like some bar talk shit. I don't know where that reference came from. I'm not a musicologist. He fires her. It's soul-sucking to watch.
I'm sure you are where you are for a very good reason.
And of course, Jerry confronts him. I feel like it had to be Jerry to do this. Because she says what we're all thinking and what most people around Roman just wouldn't because they're yes-manning too hard. Everything we know about their relationship informs us so well, too.
Be serious, you're minding shop. Roman. Oh, no, Roman.
She figures out what it is they're trying to do, and we return to that theme of running out of time and the company getting left behind. Except now we're so far along. Logan is gone. The music, as she's saying all this too, is so doomy. It's not looking good. I would argue Jerry has her best line in the show here.
I am good at my job.
Because that is Jerry. Her character is her job, basically. Everything she does in the show is motivated by my job is to act in the best interest of the company. And she's gone through so much bullshit to maintain that, and of course she gets no recognition for it, and she's being fired by the guy who humiliated her and tanked her career. Kendall, in the meantime, is also flying off the handle. At least it looks that way from the outside. But as I said before, in this climate, he really can just bullshit his way through this. I mean, when he says it's enough to make you lose your faith in capitalism, he's fucking right. And he's the one who went to college, after all. Roman... But he also has practically no concept of the nitty-gritty of actually doing a business. In Kendall's defense, it was a really, really good launch. Even when Mattson tried to fuck with everything, he had a great response to it on the freaking spot.
Personally, I wouldn't have said that, and apologies, sincere apologies for any offense caused.
That ended up making Mattson look stupid. When does that ever happen with Kendall? He comes out looking better. Jeremy Strong has talked before about basing his character partially on Kanye West.
Guys, that's not the clouds. It's not the clouds at all.
And that becomes pretty evident in this ep, especially in the Carl scene. Best Carl moment, by the way.
Did I know a thing or two about a thing or two? And if you fuck up his deal, or you try to stand up numbers that I am not comfortable with.
Anyway, Kendall is basically doing exactly what he's told not to do, and this is right after he had all of his energy sapped by talking to Roman, but as soon as he gets that pushback, he locks in again. What a beautiful ending to this episode as well. Not just with the ultra painful reincorporation of the Logan clip from the beginning, which I feel like I could talk about for an hour if I could, but Ken's last scene gives me chills when I watch it. It is a stunning scene. I can't say I'm happy for him or anything. It's definitely not a straightforward emotion that I'm having, but God, it is impactful. The editing and the music and everything that Water has meant to this character up to this point, it could not be more perfect.
I hate to say this because I love you, but you're kind of evil.
Don't talk about things you don't understand.
Look, I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry this one isn't higher. But look, it's an S tier episode. I'm gonna be upfront about that. This is a hugely important Kendall episode. And honestly, it's a huge Roman episode too. This is his turn haven. Anyway, we have another wedding, which I really like the wedding thing as an underpin to this show. It reminds me of The Godfather or something, to have these important events, which major plot points kind of center around. Everyone is just in an ugly spot here though. Shiv couldn't give a fuck about Roman's money and concerns because he's been such a piece of shit for the last few episodes. I think it's safe to say Kendall has fallen down from his high.
Italy, pizza, pasta and popes.
Well, I was just happy to be here though. And so am I, because these locations are beautiful.
You ever met the Pope, Con?
Yeah, huh? I met one. He was a real full, fat Pope.
Roman does try and bring his concerns to light at one point, and we get a look into Caroline's mindset.
So what do you expect me to survive on? Macaroni and memorial services? Which
sets up very well the decision she makes a little later. Yes, you know what I'm talking about. Oh, as well as this scene with Shiv. This complicated, gorgeous looking scene, which brings up all these insecurities in Shiv.
Some people just aren't made to be mothers.
Let's have a baby.
And we finally learn about some of the history between them. It's really interesting. And in a sort of parallel scene, Kendall and Logan have a one-on-one, and it's so well lit. Can't I just talk about the lighting? That's so much easier. The thing is, I really do think Kendall wants to fix things on some level. I think him and Shiv are both anti-poisoning society for the most part.
You've won. Because you're corrupt, and so is the world.
But at this point, it seems the only thing he can grip onto is just telling his dad how much of a bad person he is. One of my favorite exchanges is this part.
You've turned black bile into silver dollars.
Oh, you just noticed, did you?
And how you read it sort of depends on how you read Kendall's character. Does he actually want to fix things? Because, yeah, his entire identity is attached to having it. It's just very intense, and Logan knows exactly how to get to him in the end.
How long was that kid alive before he started sucking in water?
What Logan said about keeping him close is insane as well. I feel like the only way I know how to read it is just his fucked up way of saying basically, hey, you're still my son. But it's hard to tell how hurt he may or may not be considering how episode 5 ended.
Block this number for me.
And obviously the buyout that he offered. This is the last time we see Kendall until the pool scene. God, everything about it. The way he's talking to his kids, and then the bottle and the music. Oh my god. Let's leave things on a funny note. Roman's Turnhaven moment. It was the funniest and most Roman thing possible, probably. He sent a dick pic to his dad. Dude, bless whoever edited this scene, because it never gets old.
Are you a sicko?
Roman can't even begin to talk his way out of this one.
Why? I don't know. It's just like, here's my dick, I guess.
And when characters go through this crazy of an event in this show, it's never like immediately overt that their characters are totally ruined. Like Logan just kind of says fuck off, and he does. But it's pretty clear, like, yeah, this is it. Shiv definitely twists the knife too, and she's not wrong. And she's not wrong too. If anything should tell you he's not CEO material, this can definitely be it, among other things. And I can see Logan downplaying because he's old. What I don't support is Shiv trying to threaten Jerry. And she's a lawyer, for heck's sake. I mean, what do you think that's gonna accomplish? Her concern is so fake too in this scene.
It's not as if you're welcoming these items.
Keep in mind, at this point in the season, there's the subplot of Jerry dating a guy from the DOJ expressly for the purpose of getting a leg up in the investigation. That's not a good choice of words. I mean, we don't know the details of this. We don't know what she was asked to do, but maybe she's using this as leverage, and that's another reason why she doesn't feel threatened here. That might be my imagination running wild, but this is what happens when you have a show where so much character work is done through implication. I like that this exchange just kind of happens in passing too. Jesus, this is a dense episode. Yeah, there's not really anything bad I can say about it. It's in this spot because I feel like it.
I'm in a bit of a fuzz. Everything feels very vivid today, doesn't it?
You okay?
So the first time you watch this episode, you're probably not going to think much of it. But as the season progresses, and pretty immediately past this point, this episode feels more and more important. And not even in ways that necessarily concern the plot, it's more the emotional moments that I think are super, super important. So the Gojo deal is going through, and everything is pretty smooth for the most part, but Shiv and then Ken slowly get roped back into screwing their dad over just cuz.
Either back off, or I'm gonna walk.
I got you. Loud and clear.
But none of that really matters because Connor's wedding is tomorrow, so the Sibs are taking him out.
America.
This is charming.
On the night of his wedding rehearsal, and Willa is somewhere else. Honestly, this is Connor's episode. Nothing these three talk about this entire time, which is all just waste our shit, by the way. They never talk about anything else. None of it matters because Logan is gonna die tomorrow. And whether or not they vote at the shareholder meeting, it literally makes no sense to plan around this right now. I mean, they obviously don't know that, and there are a ton of great character moments with them that I love. And what's crazy is that I'm pretty much with Roman the whole time.
If anyone here has fucking dad feelings, it's holy shit, poking Satan with the fork. I'm genuine about us three.
But when I go back to this episode, what I take away the most is how Connor is affected. And it's a slow build-up over the whole time, where he clearly is just so unhappy, and I feel so bad for him.
Well, it's negotiating 101, Roman. Did they not teach you that in management training?
All right, but it sounded like he meant it.
Oh, yeah, that's negotiating 102.
Okay.
It's pretty basic.
And as soon as they break Roman too, he finally snaps.
I guess if it's just a play, then yeah, fuck yeah, I'm in.
God fucking damn it. God fucking damn it.
Because he's just been watching them gradually manipulate his brother. Shit gets real when Logan comes to this bar, and there's all this cool pink lighting too. Oh yeah. I don't know why I love their karaoke jokes so much.
No surprises there. Unless you do it to the tune of Girl from Ipanema.
Some of the writing in this show is just... This is one of the most genuinely, like, familial scenes in the series to me. Logan's struggle to apologize and Shiv not believing him when he kinda actually does. Kendall calling out a whole bunch of nasty shit at the expense of airing out his siblings' trauma, mind you.
We not do a whole show trial here.
They don't really have to forgive him, but do they really have to go through all this shit? It's so petty.
Go ask him for more money.
But why? Just good business sense. Gotta make our own pile.
Oh, come
like that.
And so obviously petty too, because Logan is not taking them seriously.
I love you, but you are not serious people.
Yep, couldn't agree with you more. I'll miss you, buddy.
Chasing after Dad saying, oh, love me, please love me.
After this, Connor has one of the best lines in the whole show.
And I'm a plant that grows on rocks and lives off insects that die inside of me.
Jesus Christ, God.
Connor's just one of my favorite characters, and I love this scene.
Those fucking kids of yours.
I know.
Okay, more dense storytelling with these three. I honestly feel like the episode that we just talked about is, in many ways, a reflection of this episode. Same kind of interval in the season, you know, episode 2. Yeah, anyway, Mass in Times of War. Finally get to qualify what I said about episode 301. Yeah, speaking of siblings and speaking of amazing dialogue, this episode is amazing. It centers around Kendall trying to convince the Sibs to back him after he just, you know, betrayed Logan and all that.
Oh, right.
Logan is also in a very uniquely panicked state, which is very interesting to see. He has a lot of great moments in this episode too, I gotta say.
We have to act on the world, the fucking world. We have to act.
And it's one of those episodes that, in concept, is totally carried by how good the writing is. It does also take place in his kid's bedroom, which is so good. I'm not the first person to point that out, but I'm going to anyway, because production design isn't something that I've said tons about anyway, and maybe that's because the lavishness kind of blends together after a while, but this is by far one of the most important choices in that department that the series has. Everything about this is so interesting and weird to me. I mean, what if these people had the power to change the world, basically, sitting on a burning garbage pile, and they're too incompetent to do anything?
Information is going to be more precious than water in the next 100.
The whole thing flows in a really natural way, like conversation-wise. One of my favorite parts is when they get bogged down in whether or not they knew.
Sure, whatever, but yeah, you did.
No, I didn't. Did you, Rom?
And Kendall and Con are like, yeah, we knew. And Shiv and Roman are like, I don't know. And it gets weird.
Shiv, but the guys, Dad, Mo, the wolf pack.
And we start getting into stuff like them being around people like this when they were underage. And you have to think about like, yeah, I mean, some of them were actually just kids. The part when Connor says, we know what those guys in Dad's study were laughing about. It's like, dude. It feels larger than life in a way. It's so fucked. And it's all just taking place in this bedroom. Yeah, they bring up all this shit and Kendall's like, hey, this is just a sidebar, real talk. I love the ways that they're kind of getting into each other's heads. Like Kendall brings up them getting shafted from the interim CEO thing, and Roman defends Jerry, but of course Kendall gets Shiv with that one, and she totally insults Roman, and he takes it real rough because it's Jerry. They don't care at all, and Kendall says this.
He'll be out there jerking off wearing my ex-wife's panties.
And he's probably right. Oh my god, this show. The whole thing does not really work out. Another technically pointless exercise that also wasn't pointless at all. Kendall does have the words, but his plan doesn't make any sense. And also, they know him. The donuts probably didn't help. I like how Connor's pretty much more puzzled by everyone's reaction to the donuts than the donuts themselves. Kendall also just pushes way too fucking hard. It's like, okay, let's do it right now. Let me make the phone call. Like, shut up, dude. The way he reacts to everyone's decision is like a child learning that he can't have ice cream before dinner, like so immediately infuriated. Like if they were still on the fence when they said no, it definitely didn't take long to knock them off fully. This is like a fantastic episode to me. This is when season 3 really takes off. There's maybe that one scene when Kendall's on the phone with Sandy and it's like, could they not get him for a speaking role again and they're just using sound bites or something?
Hello.
Okay, look, so...
Or maybe it's someone doing an impression of Sandy. Either way, it's really weird. Apart from that, this one's amazing.
Dad sent you to military school because you asked to go. Oh, you're full of shit. Hey, that's how I remember it.
We got Prague. Yeah, this is a really great season 1 episode. The only thing I really have against it is just that, you know, there's still like Shiv and Nate stuff, but it is considerably less Shiv and Nate stuff compared to like episode 106, for example. Yeah, it's basically just them like, you know, sleeping together and then pouting like a couple of emo kids, and the whole rest of this is basically perfect. From what I understand, this is like an early classic for a lot of people, and I can definitely see why. I mean, it is for me too. They of course don't go to Prague, they go to a hole in a tunnel somewhere, and it's a non-sexually explicit orgy on the inside. Oh yeah, and this episode starts with Kendall talking to investment opportunities, and he's listening to LP on the way over.
Picture this, I'm a bag of dicks, put me to your lips.
I love how they use New York hip-hop with like Kendall's character. It's a great commentary on like the culture of New York and like juxtaposing it with the billionaire population. Anyway, he looks really terrible for this whole episode. They're all at this place for Tom's bachelor party, but they're here specifically because Stewie told Roman to bring them here, and his ulterior motive is he actually wants to talk to Kendall, but Roman gets baited by some TV station bullshit.
Get him to sell, and trust me when I say this, you will become the #1 son.
So they're spending the whole time at this place, and there's drama, there's comedy, there's conflict, there's cringe. Connor's here too, on Molly.
We share such strong feelings about gut bacteria.
It's like everything you could possibly want.
Buckle up, fucklehead.
Tom can't really enjoy himself properly because he's worried about Shiv, and honestly I don't think he even wanted a bachelor party that badly. He just thought he did. I'm trying to figure out if there's some metaphorical significance to him swallowing his own load in the way that he did.
Which, the cum?
The dynamic between these two becomes pretty messed up.
He used to lock me in a cage.
What the fuck? Roman just kind of shoves himself in front of Sandy, and it's quite embarrassing, and Kendall just learned that Sandy has their dick in his hand, so it's like, dude, he really doesn't care about the TV stations. They start basically acting like children, and it's such a dense scene in terms of like character development. I don't even think I can describe all of it, but it eventually leads to Roman disclosing that Kendall used to make him act like a dog. That's pretty fucked up. Apparently this is a thing that a lot of brothers do to each other though. Can't say I'm too familiar. This was kind of a moment for me watching this show. It might have been one of the first times I realized like there's actually something really dark and messed up about these characters under the surface. I mean, I knew that up to this point, but this was maybe the first time I really felt it. It's quite a special thing. And then seeing how Kendall has compartmentalized it in his memory, as well as Con.
No, you liked it. You asked to be put in that cage. What? Yeah, it was really weird, but I think you enjoyed it.
Also, when I first saw this, I really thought like the show was hitting on such a specific kind of tragedy that I'd never really seen before. And there's a bit of a callback to the cage thing when they're in the elevator. Totally not the first person to observe that, but still.
Very smart.
Word about how Tom's night went got around pretty quick.
Greg tells me you swallowed your own load.
But let's be real, no one had that great of a time. The shot of their silhouettes is so cool. There's a lot of really weird cinematography happening in this one with all the projector stuff. It feels really creative. There is, however, another party episode in this show that absolutely slays, and I can't wait to get there.
You come for me with love. You bust him here, guns in hand, and now you find they've turned to fucking sausages.
Oh yeah, season 3 finale. It may be my least favorite finale technically, but it's amazing. Logan's ultimate betrayal, and what I love is that Roman just does not say anything for this entire episode. Logan's just fucking shit up in the background, and they're just chilling at this wedding without a care in the world, even though Roman is clearly preoccupied. It's so funny that they're stressing about Logan's jizz, and he's like in the process of ruining their inheritance. So it's kind of a weird episode on account of that, with all this background tension. The Madsen meeting is also hilarious for Roman. He's in a blazer and a white. Ugh, and he's the only one who gets tea. Like, he is so ruined after that last episode. He basically gets banished.
Yeah, my mom's getting remarried to a bowl of porridge, and it's all terribly moving, so I should probably...
And he doesn't want to tell Shiv because he can't admit to himself that he's on the outside. And he's out here mocking Jerry, trying to deflect the embarrassment.
Yeah, Jared, you jump on that grenade for us. Thanks, pal.
Like, dude, you're even worse off. They finally figure out what's going on, and chaos ensues so quickly. You could say the selling plot point is a bit out of nowhere, but that's kind of what I love about it. And in a way, it's not out of nowhere. The whole show, they've been like, if we don't do something, we're gonna get swallowed up, and Roman just blew it in the last episode. So we're out of options now, and Logan is decisive. He wouldn't just do some shit on a whim.
Do you want to come with me? Spores?
Can I ask for a little more information?
No.
Towards the end, there's a super meaningful scene with Tom and Greg.
Of course.
Okay.
Okay.
which is also misdirect, but hold that thought.
I don't recall, Your Honor. I don't recall. You're a fucking joke, man.
Tom is pretty harsh here, but he has protected Greg this whole time, and he doesn't even have to help him, but he does, and generally they're in pretty similar positions, so it makes perfect sense. So anyway, it's a mad scramble, but Kendall is so not here for it.
Do you have an angle on this? Are you speaking with Matson?
He actually tells his brother and sister about the waiter thing in this sunny backlot where there's nowhere to sit down. How I love the blocking in this show. Oh my god. There's so many amazing acting moments here.
Man, you fucked my wedding in so many ways.
I'm sorry.
It's messy. There's such a vulnerability that we don't get often, and especially after everything that's happened with Kendall in this season. It's such an emotional release, and at the end of it, he's just like, I want to stay with you guys, which kind of gets me. It's a bit of a foreshadow to season 4 as well. As much as I feel for them here, though, I can't really say I can back them against Logan. I mean, just look at them. Look at them. This show does cringe drama so well, because God, am I cringing at these three.
Well, no, because I mean the supermajority.
Just because of how useless they appear given the circumstances. But it's not like a comedic thing, it's working in tandem with the drama. It's such a unique experience, and it adds so much to this showdown.
You talk about love?
Basically, everyone who needs to win won. Caroline's role in the whole thing was set up so well. Tom deserves this after everything that happened in season 3. Roman too. He looks so impotent in front of Jerry. Oh my god, I live for that. And the way Tom appears, just everything about it is perfect. And that's it. That's all the bells say. Incredible.
We're here for you, and here spelled H-E-A-R.
We're here for you? That's just gibberish.
We here for you.
We here for you.
Our Jestes. Underrated episode. I don't know why this one doesn't get more love. I mean, maybe it does and I'm just not aware, but come on, this episode is insane. They just landed the Pierce deal and they're at this corporate retreat type thing, and the cruise story is dropping today. One of the best build-ups in the show.
When? How long do we have?
Hours, maybe minutes.
What do we do?
And there's a Tom and Greg subplot where they're trying to land on a good slogan for whatever the hell Tom is presenting.
They suggested we hear you. Is that any better?
We tested this, Greg. Hot damn.
That no one cares about.
We're listening. We hear you. It's the same problem, isn't it?
It's such a non-issue. I mentioned when we were on Dundee that they decide on really interesting settings to have this mayhem unfold, and seeing them hanging out in this kitchen is such a good example of that as well. Not to mention Shiv in the bathroom. There's
Juicier. People who are fuck, I'm sorry.
There's a real scrappiness to it that adds such an interesting dimension to this corporate disaster. We get introduced to Hugo as well, everyone's favorite character. The time bomb aspect of this freaking cruise story really starts to take hold. I mean, they really want to sign this deal with Pierce.
We should leave. We need to get out of here.
Yeah, let's leave. We go.
Oh.
Jesus, this scene. More Holly Hunter love must be shed, I'm sorry to say. Holy shit. That moment, this right here, is forever in my heart. The stress of it doesn't stop there because for some reason they decided to let these three do a press conference. God, it's such a mess. They don't even agree on an approach. It's just Kendall and Shiv fighting each other on stage. Shiv is up there as the token woman basically because Rhea convinced her from her Democratic News Organization perspective, but Shiv is so unclear about like what her actual perspective is. Like she says that it's not the company's fault, but then like throws Logan under the bus. At the same time, Kendall's trying to be a good guy, and Roman is having youngest kid syndrome and just not saying anything.
But we'll do whatever it takes, you know, we'll do whatever anyone wants.
And then he gets punished the most after this, in a scene that's even more devastating than the last time Logan hit someone. Especially when Ken just so immediately jumps to his defense, like it's a built-in reflex. And then Nan ducks out. They shoot her so powerfully in this scene, it's so awesome. And we see Logan in a very different light.
Do you hear me? We haven't. Hey! Stop! 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 Gee, fucking God! I'm fucking.
Doesn't like to lose, poor guy. Yeah, what a fantastic episode. Just jam-packed with so much good good stuff, including one of Marsha's best lines as well.
I don't understand this tradition. I mean, why do we come to be insulted? How is this entertainment?
Buckle up, folks. We're gonna get an invite to the great national latrine. See who wants to take a public dump.
Yeah, Mr. Fuck is going to Washington.
Okay, these are the cream of the crop, in my opinion, starting with DC. Jesus, I'm kind of overwhelmed. Where do I start with this one? Okay, how about here? This is the one where Roman, Carl, and Jesse go to Turkey to try and get private equity or whatever, and get into a hostage situation.
Full disclosure.
Yeah?
I am currently having a panic attack.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
You seem kind of the same.
It's also the one where our heroes have to testify in front of Congress.
Lester was commonly known as Mo. Is that correct?
I don't.
How could this not be legendary? I mean, the episode starts with them watching the whistleblower interview.
Sexual exploitation.
And for a while it's all fun and games, but it starts cutting between close-ups of all of them, and it's so transparent, like when they start to feel uncomfortable.
I can't watch any more of this fucking bullshit.
Especially with Logan, which is pretty perfect. Really, really well edited scene. And this angle is so weird. Like, what the hell? Tom screwing himself in front of Congress is easily one of my favorite scenes in the whole show. One of the funniest, and it's really no one's fault but his own. I mean, he did not understand the assignment, and it is a serious turning point for him. It's like his, this moment in Breaking Bad, which I won't spoil just in case. But yeah, really, really hardens him, and it's just the beginning of a larger hardening experience to come. Some of the best acting from Matthew, that's for sure.
Guess it was a joke.
Oh my god, the rack focus to Greg in the background. I never even noticed that. He tries to kill Bill and gets like 2 words in, and it just does not happen.
Bill Lockhart, my predecessor.
But within the...
After all that build up too, and there's just like a shot of nice old Bill just crossing his arms. It's so funny. He asks if he knows Greg, and he says no, and it cuts to Shiv like, no?
No? No, Tom?
And then he tries to walk it back.
Oh, yes.
Oh my god, every second of it, it's too good. Kendall certainly does a good-ass job for a crackhead on crack, at least.
We don't have a state media. As I'm sure you know, you'd have to go to China or Russia for that.
Oh, snap.
Their portrayal of a senator who they like is pretty awesome, too.
I like you. I'd like to have a drink with both of you.
It kind of reminds me of Sid in terms of how he delivers his lines, if you know what I mean. On a more depressing note, Shiv manages to successfully witness tamper, and in classic Succession form, they are really good arguments on both sides of this conflict, like try and take a stand against Megacorp or be set up for life. I mean, there's more nuance to it than that, but it's still a tough old nut. Ray almost gets her hands dirty with this, but instead uses it as reasoning to back the fuck out of all of this. Her final scene is honestly probably her best scene. It has some of my favorite lines in the show.
I can't see the bottom of the pool. And I don't know if you care about anything.
And the way that she's sitting and everything. Holly Hunter is already like a legend in my mind, but this performance just blows me away. Like, look at how she's walking. Like, fuck, man. One more favorite scene in this one. Bill politely telling Logan that he could totally sink them if he wanted to.
So many memories. I should write a book. I could. I've got the diaries. But no time. No time.
I think this is literally Bill's final scene, but hey, couldn't be more perfect as far as I'm concerned.
No, some people were nasty to Frank, and he's fine now.
People were yelling.
Nobody should. Frank and
I'm
Frank's
the
fine.
only one who's allowed to be nasty.
No, there were some silly people, and they've gone now.
All right. Yes. I love this episode. Retired Janitors of Idaho is not only my favorite title in the whole show, but a personal favorite of season 3. I've also noticed that this is one of the hardest ones to talk about for me, maybe because it's absolutely bonkers. It's not like super deep or anything necessarily, it's just a crazy day for everybody. especially Logan, who is legitimately incapacitated. And no one notices until it's completely fucked them over. What I didn't consider until recently is this. If Logan was acting a little funny under normal circumstances, who's the one person in the company who would draw attention to that? Kendall, and it would have actually been useful in this situation, and he probably would have carried them out of this because honestly, he's not technically terrible at business. He's at least better than these two. Shiv does save the whole company though, to her credit, and doesn't really get any recognition for that.
What would you have done then?
Not that.
Okay, but what would you have done?
I'd have figured it out.
She needs out, dude. She needs out of this stupid company. When stuff really hits the fan, it is ridiculously entertaining. It goes crazier than most episodes.
Thank you for your concerns.
Yes.
Especially when you see characters like Colin running around with a paper bag.
It's all right.
What is that?
Please? That is an imaginary cat. Now, could you please fuck off?
Kendall shows up at the worst time and offers nothing of value. To be fair, I get his frustration because the move that Logan makes in his, you know, his headspace
Hey, Dad. How's your headspace?
really is bewilderingly stupid from an outside perspective, but it's totally out of his hands at this point, and he inadvertently reminds us of what he's still in it for.
And you're putting everything I have fought and bled for on the fucking edge, and I'm not gonna let that happen. Do you understand me?
Which is actually insane. Also, I never realized until now that Kendall is calling people the whole episode to try to stay in control, in a sense. Not even just this episode, at least episode 1 of season 3 as well. But this episode, it ends with Logan permanently blocking his number, and then he just makes him wait in a room and never shows, just kind of treating him like someone he doesn't give a fuck about. And that clearly gets to Kendall too. I was never super blown away by the very end of this episode, but now that I'm thinking about all of this stuff, I kinda am. Well, dang. That's what I love about this show. I think I've seen it 4 times by now, and I'm still picking up on new shit. We're furthering Tom's development in this season, and brilliantly at that, he takes Logan to the bathroom a couple times.
What fucking business is it of yours?
Oh, no, I just make it, I think.
And the last time this happens, when Tom kind of realizes there's something going on, Logan says son, and then Tom calls him Papa.
Anytime. Papa.
I mean, it couldn't be more overt in some ways, but the scene is also so out there that, like, it's not a straightforward emotional experience or anything. It's telling as well that Logan is at this stage where Tom is the one he looks to. At this point, his only kid that he really trusts is Roman, and it's not in this way. Again, it's not super overt. There are several reasons for why this is happening. That's basically that. I mean, there are a lot of other things that add to the chaos of it, I guess. Kendall showing up on the stage is hilarious, and the cutting back to all the other characters is pretty perfect.
He's so annoying.
Yeah, easily one of the most entertaining and silly episodes that the show has to offer. Not really a dull moment in the whole thing, and as I recently realized, there's actually quite a bit of fantastic character development with Kendall, and, you know, obviously everything that's happening with Tom. And also just the payoff to the shareholder meeting that's been built up for at least a season at this point. They don't cheap out on it or anything. They dedicated this whole episode to it, and it is basically the perfect payoff.
Sorry, Peter.
Don't lick Peter's cheeks.
Oh my god, that is so gross.
Yep, here it is, I guess. With open eyes. I mean, it had to be somewhere, right? Well, here it is. I hope I don't get flack for this. I know this episode gets some hate, but I think it's mainly from, like, straight dudes who are so straight and doodly that they thought Kendall should, like, win in the end, which is so funny.
Romy!
That's because you fucked him.
Jesus, man.
Yeah, it's okay.
What the fuck?
Like, where were you?
Where was I?
Yeah.
Are you fucking serious?
I'm not blaming you. I'm trying to get all the information. I'm gonna block your car. I'm gonna lie in front of your fucking car.
Yeah, I love this episode. I love it. I absolutely love it. I feel like it's everything that it needed to be, in a way. It's pretty straightforward, like, in terms of, I guess, just plotting, but that feels fine to me. I don't think they needed to end it with, like, a retired janitors of Idaho, like a crazy bottle episode or something. Feels kind of ceremonious, like all the siblings are working together. It's one last hurrah at trying to get voted in as CEO. And we actually get a lot of unique character moments throughout as well, which are all pretty unforgettable to me. A huge swath of this is spent with the siblings, basically drinking and vacationing in their mom's beach house, which is such a funny origin for their alliance when you think about it. There's so many examples of that kind of irony in this show where it's just baked into like the plotting and the motivations, and it's not even super overt or anything. It reminds me of them in Sophie's bedroom in episode 302. Really though, they're at least buzzed for this entire thing. Like, they started at like 5. We see them in such a different light as the night progresses. For once, their relationship feels warm.
Ooh, yes. We are gonna make you a meal fit for a king, sir.
And beyond that, it's just so goddamn funny. 39 episodes of these actors working together, all leading to this.
We're making a meal fit for a king. Yeah.
Honestly, like, I say that with some irony, but I legitimately enjoy thinking about it from that point of view. Harriet Walter is also so great in this scene. It might be my favorite performance from her. It's all so hyper specific. Like, Roman asks for something to eat and she gives him Peter's knobbies.
Enjoy.
Oh, it's a bag of frozen knobbies.
We also get the kind of character development that just feels right at this stage in the series.
He sat me down at the Candy Kitchen in Bridgehampton, and he fucking promised it to me. 7 years old.
Pics, or it didn't happen.
How Kendall is coming off in this confession feels fairly mature and open.
That was messed up. Like, he shouldn't have done that.
But at the end of it all, it's clear that he really hasn't matured, or at least when he's got the power in his hands, he regresses. In other news, they nail Tom's payoff, which has been set up since season 3, if you've paid attention. I mean, it especially makes sense when you rewatch it. And this is his moment. I mean, he sells himself really well, and he has some of his best lines too. I laugh every time.
I have an excess of vigilance, I think, and I have a very high tolerance for pain and physical discomfort.
There's a really awesome directing choice where they make you used to the reverse shot structure of this conversation until Mattson says he wants to fuck Shiv, and they pan from his angle to this really tight shot of Tom. And when it cuts back from there, back to Mattson, it's matching Tom's new angle. And then to release the tension, it cuts back to the original shot of Tom, and it fits right in with how fucking hilarious this line is delivered too.
No, we're men.
Yeah.
Also, it's like the absolute weirdest phrasing that they could have chosen for this bombshell drop.
Why don't I get the guy who put the baby inside her instead of the baby lady?
Yeah, just everything in this finale falls so perfectly into place to me. From the scene with Logan, which is such a rare, touching moment, to Kendall sitting in Logan's chair, which clearly felt nasty to these two in a way that they maybe weren't expecting, to Greg's painful betrayal of Tom, where his lust for money just completely takes over, to Kendall's final betrayal to Roman, which is legitimately one of the best metaphors in the whole show. It works on multiple levels, but the way I've thought about it more recently is that there's something wrong with Roman internally that makes him unfit for CEO. That's clear to both of them. It's clear to all of us by now. And it might not be clear to the general public, but Kendall will basically tear that open if he has to get himself where he wants.
Are you interested in a real relationship?
Late in the day, very late in the day.
But of course, most harrowing of all is the final vote, where Shiv pretty much has a panic attack. I think seeing her brother bleeding next to her has a little something to do with that. Yeah, you already know how it goes. It is crushing. It really is. Not because I want Kendall to get it or anything, but seeing all the lines that he crosses here, seeing that Shiv made up her mind before the conversation even started, Kendall dodging the car accident thing. And you can imagine a different writer have Kendall be like, oh, it was a mistake and I'm trying to do better, but nope, not for this character.
I didn't even get in the car. It's not.
Hold on, what the fuck?
I felt bad and I false memoried it.
Like, there's no coming back from that. The desperation is so palpable.
Just please, vote for me. Shiv, vote for me.
No.
Yes!
Jeremy Strong is killing it in this scene. Roman goes in on Kendall's kids, bringing up even more shit that we were not aware of, but hey, I mean, it feels natural, so why the hell not put it into? It sure as hell adds to the drama. Even after Kendall, like, brutalizes him, he repeats it, showing that he has just a little bit of resistance to Kendall's abuse, but not much. Like, there's no coming back from any of this. It's such a spectacular crash and burn. It's perfect. It really is. They know exactly how this had to go, and it makes sense, and it was all laid out. They just had to knock it down, and they even did that gloriously. And when it's done, it's kind of a relief, especially with Roman's last resolution.
It's bits of glue and broken shows, fucking phony news, fucking, come on. We are bullshit.
I think he's had this attitude for probably the whole episode, but it's nice just to hear him say it like that. It makes you feel slightly hopeful for his character, just slightly. On that note, every character's final shot is brilliant too. Kieran Culkin's final performance is seared into my memory. It kind of makes me feel like his happiness will be reduced to fleeting moments of escape, but who knows for sure. I find his relationship with Jerry to be the saddest of the whole series, probably. Greg and Tom's final scene is hilariously dark. All I'm thinking is that they are where they are because of each other, basically, and for a reason, too, which none of the other siblings would ever have been, really. So they're still somewhat less deplorable as people, in my mind, and maybe they could be the gay dads of Gojo Waystar, but if the love is dead, then what even is there, really? Tom and Shiv, you already know, it's brilliant too. Ken just sitting by the water, same theme that they used in the other water scene with Kendall, but such a different emotional experience, but also so... And Colin's presence in the scene too, of course. There's just so much to it. Yeah, anybody who doesn't like this episode, why? Why? I mean, I could guess why, but if it's not for that reason, then why? Because I don't know. I feel like it couldn't have been better, honestly. Yeah.
A sad little detail at a lovely wedding where father and son are reconciled.
Yep. I mean, was there ever any question about this one? No One Is Ever Missing is not only the first finale of the show, but also one of their best. Back-to-back finales too, whoopsies. I guess just a smidge over the season 4 finale, which I think is fair. We need to sit with that episode a little longer, I think. I mean, I watched this whole show after it was out, but anyway. We're picking right up from prenuptial. Kendall has to deliver the takeover bid while Logan is in the bathroom, which was a great choice, by the way. We're gonna have to get used to watching Kendall melt in this episode too.
You can't even fucking say it.
I can say it.
Maybe what he ends up saying in Chant to Share is what he wanted to say in this scene, but it's so hard to tell what fraction of Kendall is virtuous at any given time. It might be less than 1%. Meanwhile, Tom is staring unflinchingly at the black hole of his newly sealed marriage.
Wife!
Yeah. Which we don't even see the officiating of, mind you.
I've had a little number.
Wife!
I don't really know what I can say about their air clearing, which isn't an air clearing at all, really. It's complicated. I'm not a relationship expert, but Shiv does say all the stuff about the love sack.
There's a lot of things in that sack. It needs to get emptied out. There's fear and jealousy and revenge.
And Tom, the fool he is, says,
"But I do love you."
So we know what he's in for. He's just chasing that dream. Yeah, I can't say it's like my favorite confrontation between Shiv and Tom, but you know, it's so early in the show and like it's basically perfect for what it needs to be at this stage. It's just so dark, the conclusion that they end up with. At least Tom gets this one up on Nate. Nate's whole character was worth it just for that, and it's a hell of a lot better than the conclusion that Shiv has with him in this ep.
Who are you?
I'm Shiv fucking Roy.
Yeah, let's just focus on the wine scene.
Put my fucking wine back now. Don't make a fucking mess.
Man, the Billy Joel and then Greg and Jerry. Such a small win, but you know, sometimes you gotta focus on the little things. I realize that I've barely touched on the satellite launch subplot over the course of this video.
He doesn't care, Rome.
AKA Roman's arc for season 1, mainly because there's almost no attention put on it, but just enough to make it hilarious in retrospect. I don't think I can describe how hard I laughed when he briefly ducked into a restroom to watch the project silently explode on the launch pad. Alright, enough fun, let's talk about Kendall. When his siblings confront him, he does not have a bad counter. He basically says, you guys aren't cut out for this, and you probably never will be, which is relatively based thinking, but he still believes this is all gonna work out for him. Maybe it would've, but instead he falls further than he can ever imagine. I remember watching this scene and being like, oh my god, he's gonna crash this fucking car. But it still manages to be shocking, and complicated in a way that only Succession would decide to be. Like, it is kind of this waiter's fault. You're not supposed to grab the wheel ever. But Kendall had the chance to call for help, and he did not take it. He just runs instead. The panic is just so palpable as well, like with him diving over and over, and Jeremy Strong's acting, of course. It doesn't feel unjustified with how quickly it all falls apart either, because it was always shaky, and at the end of the day, it was the freaking drugs, you know? Of course something like this would happen, and the way Logan takes advantage of it, it's not just like a normal blackmail situation. Kendall's life would have been ruined if Logan didn't intervene. So it's literally like, you need me, therefore you're mine, basically. It speaks to the existence of all of Logan Roy's children as well. My favorite scene in the episode is simply just him with his kids afterwards. Sometimes seeing Kendall happy is the most depressing experience you can get with the series. And the Whitney Houston just adds another layer of resonance. I cry every time. So even with the context of the other 3 seasons, the season 1 finale remains one of the most impactful to date, at least in my opinion. And if I wasn't already sold on this being an amazing show at this point, then I certainly was by now.
You're my number 1 boy.
It always seems to be so hard to give honesty.
Too Much Birthday. This episode is directed by Lorraine Scafaria, as well as Living Plus, which are both awesome Kendall episodes. I haven't seen her film Hustlers, which I've heard good things about, but I'm expecting it to be super well directed based on this episode alone. The creativity on display here is just so engaging on multiple levels. All the different rooms in Kendall's party are like themed in some way, so they just go totally nuts with the production design. This treehouse that's apparently like his childhood treehouse, and this replica of his office that's on fire. And don't get me started on the entrance. So much crazy lighting too. I have to talk about Tom, because not too long ago I was talking about that amazing shot in What It Takes, where Tom is making the decision of a lifetime. Well, this is pretty much right after that, and on the first day back, they get the news that there is no jail time happening. And the focus is just subtly on Tom. When everyone sees the champagne, he's clearly trepidatious to celebrate at first, and then we're like barely cutting to him until this important shot with Logan.
I'll remember.
Meanwhile, Shiv can't even fucking look at him. Tom then goes to give Greg a tender kiss on the forehead.
Yes! 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 Yes!
But it's so sad because he can't even enjoy the whole night, even though he's legitimately trying to, because he knows Shiv doesn't care, and all he has is Greg, which must be frustrating. Not even the compliment tunnel can remedy that.
I think he said you're full of grace.
That's a weird thing to say. Being sarcastic? Being sarcastic?
No, I think
full
it's...
of great, full of fucking what?
Connor's here also, ostensibly to have fun as well. They sneak in a really great character moment with him too. This exhibit thing, or I don't know what to call it, Anyway, I always love to see how not appreciated Connor is, no matter how hard he tries, and how many examples come up of him actually being a pretty decent brother.
I took you two fucking assholes on a camping trip because Dad couldn't be bothered, that's why. And I ate some bad fucking fish!
Speaking of good brothers, Roman's existence, I watch him at this point and it just feels wrong. The fact that he's in this position feels wrong, the fact that he's succeeding feels wrong, him being able to make decisions about anything is wrong, and here he is rubbing everyone's nose in it. He's drunk too, which is pretty similar to Kendall's shitty behavior in this escalator scene, but essentially because he and Mattson got nasty in the bathroom, he's cutting Shiv out in the most annoying, childish way possible.
Alright, don't worry about it, Shivy. I'll handle it. You can go cut a rug.
He also acts like a weirdo piece of shit, and I want to claw my eyes out.
All the men got together in a man club and we decided, sweetheart, everything's fine, so just...
Like, I don't even want to repeat some of this stuff.
What are you even talking about? You're so gross!
It gets even worse when Kendall shows back up. Long story short, he justifies spying on children. He literally tells Kendall to hit him, kind of like Logan would, and even says, "You lost," like Logan would, and he pushes him.
Fuckface.
Such deplorability on display. But sometimes, you know, that is what Succession is all about. It makes me want to escape my body, but I'm here for it. Roman is so obviously embarrassed too.
It's funny. It's funny. You're gonna laugh at it later.
This whole episode is like Kendall's last big hit of whatever it is that he's been writing this whole season, and it's basically a slow crash and burn that's kinda hinted at the cold open.
If I start second guessing, it collapses.
Right.
And then just everything with Rava and the siblings and him just fixating on the party to try to fill this void and keep his high of delusion and misguided confidence going. It's just such great writing. It's easily one of my favorite Kendall episodes. And on top of that, it just has a feel that none of the other ones have. It feels over the top and kind of unhinged at times, but those are perfect things for this episode to be, in my opinion. And again, just like the visuals of everything, it really sticks out to me.
But you lied.
Oh.
Right? She didn't get anything from Nate.
Really?
She didn't speak to Nate. And she's in with Mattson.
Sorry, what?
Top 5. We're in the top 5, and I'm absolutely certain that this will remain the top 5 because I just rewatched all of these, and I'm not going to end up switching any of them around in between the time of writing and recording this. No, sir.
No, sir.
These last few are simply mind-blowing. Starting with the election. What sets this one apart is it triggers my PTSD from 2020. And right now I'm actually recording this like a few days before the 2024 election. So, yep, history repeats. Anyway, yeah, I mean, the funny thing is they'll never get close to how actually batshit and stressful American politics are, because if you've lived through it, especially that fucking night, and probably this coming Tuesday too, this video is going to be outdated very quickly. Nothing will ever reach that experience, and I live in Canada for heck's sake, but they sure as hell come close. Part of me legitimately doesn't like watching this episode because it's so visceral. It's like trying to watch Synecdoche, New York or something, which I still haven't done in full yet, where it's like, okay, I don't want to be thinking about this right now, but I guess I'm forced to. However, there are enough hilarious moments that make me want to come back to it just for that.
I happen to be a billionaire. Sorry.
So everything is being left up to the kids, basically. There is no old guard. Jerry's like totally gone, and it's all about ATN in a way that we haven't really seen before. In fact, this is probably easily the weightiest thing we've ever seen these characters involved in, and in much higher detail as well. It feels like everything is coming to a head. It's one of the most important episodes for the three siblings because we see how their relationships and their trauma cause them to make monumentally terrible decisions on a scale that could not be more extreme. I was just talking at length about Roman being a piece of shit, and we're a season he's come full circle on that. He is single-handedly derailing this whole operation, obviously because he wants to block the Gojo deal, but he's so spiteful and so nihilistic, it's honestly disgusting to watch. It was pretty much set up from the beginning what Roman was going to do, because Macon literally said to him, yeah, I'm gonna lose, but I want to lie to the American people and hopefully radicalize them more for the next election.
I want you to be a partner in that, and if it isn't tonight, it will be next time.
I mean, yeah, that makes perfect sense, and we know that given Jan 6 and everything. And he just kind of throws it out there with his dumb smirk. God, it's so messed up.
These are crazy.
Madsen just has to watch this shit too in his pajamas. Like, what is wrong with your country, dude? I also gotta mention, Connor's entire character arc is concluded right here.
Alas, Kentucky Willa.
Connor was running for president.
For although I set out a clear and compelling path.
He didn't quite get it, and it's actually like a sweet moment. It's not undercut by comedy or anything. It's just a genuine little scene, and I think their characters deserve that. I mean, it is also inherently comedic. That kind of unfolds even more when we get some bonus material with his final speech, which we don't get tons of Connor's campaign, but when we do, it's so goddamn good, especially here. Just unhinged. Really great cinematography too. There's a lot of lighting happening from the TV screens, and it's really well captured. This one was directed by Andrzej Perek as well, and I feel like he often makes really next level framing choices. We have a very tired Elliot Schwartz, and he's sort of the adult in the room when it comes to election reporting, who they're all sidestepping pretty much the whole time. They get wasabi in his eyes, and that the acting in that moment is a little goofy. I'm not sure I fully believe he does have wasabi in his eyes.
I've got wasabi in my eyes.
Wait. Hold on.
Good character though. Shiv is still on the other side trying to get the deal to work, but also trying to keep the pillars of democracy somewhat intact. She gets more and more desperate as we go further, and she realizes the lengths that her brothers will go. She does see Kendall's confliction, and we get a really revealing scene with them, even though Shiv is sort of playing him the whole time. It's super interesting because he's worried about his kids, as they are POCs, at least Sophie is. He even says that the poison drips down, which is maybe the first time that's ever been addressed, at least by one of them, and they could not have picked a crazier time to do it, as it's dripping into the goddamn groundwater at this point. I think that was something Jeremy Strong literally said in an interview too. But it's heartbreaking because it all gets completely undercut by Shiv's betrayal. We just have to watch while Kendall uncovers this, and she's watching him from in here, unable to do anything. Such creative staging of that. And these three have always underestimated Greg. He knows about the Madsen thing, and Shiv didn't even bother to threaten him properly.
How about I offer for you to keep all your internal organs on your insides rather than I pull them out your asshole?
Of course he's gonna make that move, and good for him, damn it. Wait, he's complicit too, shit. Yeah, this episode is just, it's insane. Almost as crazy as Retired Janitors, but more focused and more real. It really, really stands out to me. I wish I could put it even higher on this list, but we still haven't reached the ceiling yet.
It has been suggested I would be a suitable figure to absorb the anger and concern. But
Please Don't Kill Me. This Is Not for Tears is the final episode of season 2 and is considered by many to be the best Succession episode of all time. I, for one, think it's the 4th best Succession episode, and I'll let you in on a little secret. 4 is my lucky number, so in a way, it's actually the most specialist episode on the whole list. Can you tell how nervous I am about sharing this opinion? There are definitely a lot of reasons that this is considered the absolute cream of the crop. It's got a killer ending.
You're not a killer.
Oh gosh, I'm sorry. And it's the perfect conclusion to the cruise's arc. We're literally on a boat. Someone has to go down, and Logan is making it a group decision, which is pretty smart because then, in a way, everyone has blood on their hands. I think Jerry literally says that in this episode. There are certain characters, i.e. Roman, who are essentially safe and bring a lot of levity to the whole thing.
No, you're actually a prime candidate. 6-1.
This is horrible. Roman, we're real people.
You are not.
Which is super fun. And the chemistry with Jerry, it's giving sitting with the kid you have a crush on in the 8th grade. It's so adorable. When Roman shows up on the boat after his little Central Asian vacation, everyone has a prepared bit. Tom's being the absolute worst.
Did you build a glider out of a Caesar salad?
And Roman is probably the best character, not only at making jokes but disarming other people's.
But a sexual pervert.
Funny guy. all jokes aside.
And it's funny to see him cut through all of it, whereas if the roles were reversed, he'd probably show no mercy. But still, he almost died. I guess it is an unprecedented situation. He also has to give the news that, yeah, there will have to be a blood sacrifice, but it had to be done, and he looked pretty smart doing it too. Shiv and Tom want to have a threesome, get this, with a ship employee. So what does this mean? Does this mean there is a culture at this company of exploiting the workers that no one acknowledges? Because they don't acknowledge it in this episode, but it's there. That is so fucking dark, dude.
It's fine, I'll drink it. It's just not my favorite.
Greg seems kind of unimpressed by everything, and people have read that as like he's spoiled now and he's acting like a snob, but I feel like he's mainly pissed at the Roys after the whole Congress thing, including his own Congress thing, which I'm so glad kicks off this iconic episode.
If it is to be said.
I'm sorry?
If it is to be said, so it is.
I think he feels screwed over, and he's kind of trying to reject the lavishness, or maybe he just feels kind of done. So the show trial eventually kicks off, which is just great, amazing dialogue between everybody. Going back to Jerry and Roman even defends Jerry during the big discussion, and he does a good job too.
Jerry, to pay for cruises, we take out a senior woman.
It is such a satisfying moment, such a great payoff in their relationship. And on the opposite side of the spectrum, Shiv knifes Tom in front of fucking everybody.
No, Tom looks logical.
What?
Which is also a satisfying payoff, but not in the same way. Even everyone else seemed pretty shocked at that. Like, they're all sending Tom to jail, but they were still not expecting her to say that. He tries to get back at her by flipping it, but it doesn't even work. She's just like, okay, reasons. It really like plants the seed for this heartbreaking discussion that they have on the beach later, where Tom is finally speaking his mind, and Shiv can't even seem to lie effectively when she says,
I won't let anything happen to you.
she says it like, here, this is the line that is supposed to make you feel better, right? I think she does feel guilty too, but she just has this weird thing where she just cannot connect with him, and it gets worse as the show goes on. She doesn't support him with the prison stuff at all in season 3, maybe because she feels guilty about it and she just can't handle that. In the end, she does save Tom though, which I think she owed him at that point. I don't think it's enough to like absolve her saying what she said at the table. At the same time, what this does to Kendall, at least in theory, is also terrible. The episode is so well paced because Logan and Ken go to meet up with Stewie earlier on about the proxy battle. Because if they're going into a snake pit, they want to at least, I guess, try to tuck their pants into their socks. They don't work anything out though, and it's a huge reminder of how Kendall screwed the company with this takeover shit. And the last exchange between and Kendall is some of their best acting in the series, and directing as well, for that matter. Of course, we get that shot that I emphasized earlier with the Tom parallel later on. But when they start talking, the camera is so close to both of them. At first, it's cutting between them while he's giving him the Incans metaphor, but when he says to him straight up, you're the face of it and all that, it doesn't cut back to Kendall, it pans over instead. When Logan tells him that he trusts him, Kendall can't look at him. He immediately looks at the floor, and maybe that's because of what's already happened, or possibly because of what he's going to do. I don't know. Apparently Jeremy Strong has said on record that he thinks that the moment Ken decides to do what he does is when Logan says the NRPI thing, which also makes a lot of sense, because the fact that he cares so little about the loss of life just kind of reflects how ruthless his betrayal was in season 1. That's how Logan operates. He'll do these things for the business, and that's why at the beginning of season 3 he's like, it was a play, so don't act like a cunt to me. Kendall has a different kind of agenda though. So yeah, the scene is excellent, but the cherry on top is Kendall's press release, and you already know what happens. You don't need me to sum it up. Look at this crazy angle though. I love when filmmakers throw in some off-kilter shit like this to telegraph that something unexpected is gonna happen. It makes it even more thrilling on a rewatch. Like when I see that shit, I'm like, oh, like my heart starts beating faster and everything.
You okay, Tom?
Yeah, this is a perfect episode. This is a legendary episode. This is a monumental episode.
What the fuck?
Thank you, Logan.
Tom?
This is a beloved episode, and it's hard to ask for more from a Succession episode, isn't it? Anyway, church and state. Alright, I know what you're thinking. Wow, look at this season 4 Dick Rider, right? What? So it's the best just because it's season 4? Because it came out recently? Well, look, first of all, I watched this show after it was fully out, so recency bias doesn't really apply. And secondly, this episode, and spoiler alert, Connor's wedding, they're Mark and Jesse's masterpieces. I'm sorry, you know it deep down. Nah, I'm just kidding, you can have your own opinion. But like, they literally held a freaking funeral service and then just like shot it without like pickups or anything. They just had like a few cameras set up and then just fucking did it. That shit is like crazy to me. Even more Robert Altman parallels in my mind now. I mean, if I were to make a comparison with this episode, I'm gonna reference personally, I would argue that some of the impact of With Open Eyes has sort of sat in the community in the way that it has because it was the last episode before the giant break, and seeing as I watched the whole show after it came out, I didn't have that experience with it. So technically I could say people have bias towards that episode for that reason, but I'm not gonna, because I don't think that.
It's not unsaid when you say it.
No, I'm not saying it, so in fact it is unsaid.
Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. Amazing that they start the episode with Roman thinking he's gonna nail his speech. It's so funny, and it's also retrospectively kinda adds significance to Roman's arc. So yeah, it's the funeral. Everybody shows up. The character moments with Caroline and Carrie. That stuff is fascinating. That feels like such a good funeral thing to happen, I guess. Love the vibe of that.
God, Logan would hate this.
Yeah, I don't really want to beat around the bush. I kind of just want to get right to it and talk about Ewan's speech. Because Ewan goes to give a eulogy, and Roman beforehand is all like, "Oh, I'm not gonna let that happen." And then you think about it after, and it's like, how are we actually expecting that to go? Anyway, Ewan's speech is probably my favorite Succession scene of all time. It makes me cry. He starts with a story from their childhood, about being in the war, and I really value when a film, or in this case a show, can have a character just monologuing, but with that can conjure an entire vivid scene in my mind. It can really just take you somewhere in a way that images maybe never could, at least not in the same way. The scene definitely has that effect for me. But beyond that, it changes your perception of the character, and that probably goes for everybody else at this funeral as well. It cuts to a shot of Roman and Kendall while he's telling this like brotherly story, which is so beautiful, and it's humanizing Logan in a way that specifically Roman was not prepared for. I don't think this is a new observation about this character. There's clearly been a disconnect with Roman and his grief, but with how Logan is sort of portrayed through the media and how that has sort of taken over because himself isn't here anymore. The fact that his death and his funeral has become a media asset, basically, Roman clearly didn't fully process the implication of actually going to his dad's funeral. Anyway, more on that later. We learn about what happened to their sister, finally, and it cuts to Roman again. Not just continuing the thread of what I was just talking about, but also connecting the abuse that Roman has suffered to the culpability that was apparently forced on Logan regarding Rose's death. It's heartbreaking. Kieran Culkin's acting in that moment is just one of the most subtly heartbreaking things. I've said heartbreaking so many times, but it is heartbreaking, and it's just like a slight change of facial expression, but God, is it powerful.
He has wrought the most terrible things.
Ewan does start going in on Logan eventually, but it kind of feels like the siblings were like, yeah. He doesn't come off judgmental is the thing. He's just kind of acknowledging what needs to be acknowledged, and it's super poetic too. The line about the joke about the man in the cold, Jesus. Not to say that Ewan told a joke in the middle of the eulogy. You know what I mean if you've watched the scene. But yeah, it's like we're deconstructing the whole series right now. It's geniusly edited too. Every shot is so purposeful. It looks stunning in the natural light and with the depth of field and all that. And while all this is happening, there are still kind of jokes, like it cuts to Carl smirking.
You can get a little high, a little mighty when you're warm.
When Ewan gets done, you can hear Kendall like,
Yeah.
they're still confident enough to sneak in funny shit, and it doesn't detract from anything. It makes it such a more unique and engaging experience where I'm feeling several emotions at once.
It's a good hard take that you gave.
I didn't mention it, but earlier in the episode, there's a shot of Greg on a bicycle, which I never knew I needed. Roman has to do his speech, and he gives his best performance of the whole show. Maybe the best performance of the whole show.
Ladies and gentlemen of the...
I don't know. There might be a couple in the 2 episodes that are remaining at this point. We'll get to it. He gets up there, and then suddenly we all remember that Roman has not had an objectively successful public speaking experience a single time across 37 episodes that we've seen. He looks at the casket, he grabs his siblings, and he says, "Is he in there? Can we get him out?" He is far from okay right now. All 3 of them are there with him, and he just cries. He cries a lot. I can't handle it, dude. Kendall has to go up instead, and he does a good job. He pulls out that Kendall, I know what I'm doing type aura. He wings it, and I gotta give it to the writing again because it manages to sound off the cuff even though it's written, obviously.
Yeah, I don't know how much I know.
Yeah, cool. Kieran Culkin, like, just finished making television history. All right. We have to soldier through. Kendall brings some honesty for sure, but it's funny because Ewan humanized the heck out of him, and Ken just does the opposite. It's like, yeah, let's bring it back to how much of a god he was among men. The editing is still fantastic here. He starts pulling out the pro-capitalism talking points, and there's just a shot of Madsen smirking. Brilliant. He also gets applause by the end, which is hilarious and gross. And Shiv has a speech too. I know some people like to shit on Shiv's eulogy, but I don't like the sentiment, honestly. I feel like she needed to do that for herself, because so much of her character is doing things for other people, being used by other people for optics, people acting like she has nothing valuable to say.
If you're gonna just be hysterical, we're gonna have to, ask you to leave.
Fuck
People are
you.
trying to do some serious work in here.
Fuck you!
This feels like an emotional release for her that she needed, and part of that is speaking to her femme experience. Yeah, maybe it's on the nose, but honestly, I don't even think it is. To me, this is the episode where we're saying things, honestly. It's also far and away the most genuine of the 3, and getting something genuine from someone other than Ewan, I think, is a good thing. It doesn't even last that long. I always think maybe it does last a little too long, but nah, it's tight, it's good. Fuck, we're gonna spend forever on this episode, aren't we? Okay, we get to the mausoleum. Connor's still very chill about the situation.
It was a .com pet supply guy who built it, I believe.
Giving the whole I've done some therapy and think that I'm fixed kind of vibe as always. Roman is consistently in a state. There's a question put forth at one point and he barely reacts. That's just another great acting moment from him, in my opinion, because he reacts a little bit. It's a little disturbing that Logan expected the kids to stick near him even after they eventually go. Darkness aside, I think this line is pretty great.
I had trouble finishing a scotch with him.
Speaking of saying things this episode, Shiv asks the boys, Logan's boys, if he was bad, insane. You're pretty bad yourself, Shiv, just inherently. I get what she means though, and from what I've gathered, I would probably give to that a resounding no, at least not compared to P. Diddy or someone. I guess Frank summed it up pretty well in the most frank way possible.
He was a salty dog. He was. But he was a good egg.
But does he even believe that? We don't know. I've heard a little bit of criticism for the episode by way of the last chunk with all the moves that get made and all of that. I still love the section too. Yeah, things have definitely calmed down a bit, but these scenes are good. I don't think it's out of place for these characters to be making moves at this point, and the funeralness of everything doesn't really fade into the background for me, especially with this Tom and Shiv scene where they go into the final episode more or less neutral, which is very interesting. Kendall berates Roman for his fuck up, and yeah, it was bad, but ultimately I think you could argue it was a team effort. Like, this was their moment right here, and then hilariously everybody just comes in and gets in the way at like the worst. Mencken does call Roman Tiny Tears, but Kendall like gets mad at him for it, like, oh girl, no. So how do I sum this up? I mean, talked about Ewan's speech, talked about Roman's moment. I feel like I've given my reasoning for loving this episode so much. If you disagree, that's fine, but yeah, I can't say that there's a more emotionally affecting scene in the series. Well, maybe I could say that actually, but ever since the first time I saw this episode, I was like, yeah, this is one of the best things I've ever seen, basically. Oh my god, is that Greg's mom?
I'm so much older than you, Willa. You're young and you're full of life, and my father's dead and I feel old.
Yep, it's Connor's wedding. And that means by process of elimination, you already know what number one is, so that's exciting. I knew pretty much from the start of making this video that this had to be either at the top or the runner-up, and I'm assuming some of you saw this coming. I don't know why I'm talking like it's number one, it's number two. But there are a few episodes in this show that can make me physically tense. But 2 episodes do that, I've discovered, and it's Church and State and this one. And no matter how many times I revisit it, at least so far, it's been 4 times now, it's still just as shocking as it was the first time I saw it. And it's something that we knew was going to happen, or at least we should have. The writing of Logan in the past couple of episodes, how the show started, for God's sake. Even the beginning of this episode, they're using all these trippy wide angles, and it's the kind of thing that you're watching back and you're like, oh my god, I already feel sick. Logan also vanishes after the cold open. That is all you get of him. In the cold open, though, he tells Roman to kill Jerry. I realized something writing this after Shiv lost her chance of being CEO and then transitioned into her eating shit phase. Logan came between her and Tom and basically ruined their relationship irreparably, or helped to. Roman, now that he's lost his chance, he's still under Logan's thumb, and what's Logan making him do? He's making him kill Jerry. And in both of these instances, he uses it as a test, basically.
Dad?
You are with me. You weren't just fucking me around.
Roman and Jerry's relationship is irreparably altered in this scene here, and it's so sad, especially because it's like for no reason, but Jerry is visibly upset, and obviously, as we know, it is entirely Roman's fault, and he has the audacity to try and act like a human towards her.
I am on like a human level. Like, obviously sad, but...
After everything he put her through, and she just shuts him down, basically.
I'm sorry. Like,
I'm good. This is fine. This is nothing at all.
I feel like she knows how repressed he is, and repressing his emotions is like the most effective way to hurt him. And it seems that she either thinks he doesn't care, or he cares just enough to feel a little less empty inside for his own emotional benefit. I think the reality is that he really does feel terrible about this, but he can't escape the toxic person that he is. He also just severed the only person that ostensibly cared about him a little. The way that he's acting and the music and like the shots that you get of them after the conversation is done, it's a really important scene, and it's easy to overlook it with everything else that happens in this one. So I just thought I'd get that out of the way first. When the other siblings show up at Connor's wedding on this boat, they're brought up to this upper floor that's like bright white. Dude, how did they blindside us with this shit? Seriously. Shiv is getting calls that she's ignoring, and the second she leaves, Roman answers his phone, thinking it's about the Jerry thing, but actually the thing is Logan is dying. He's actually probably already dead.
They're doing chest compressions.
Oh, fuck!
Has his heart stopped? Has his heart stopped?
And everything stops. The whole show stops dead. And then it holds us here and does not let go. We have to experience every second of it alongside these characters. And it's amazing. Everybody's acting is going absolutely insane. I can't believe the places they must have gone. Apparently it was very taxing for all of them. There isn't any like extraneous things attached. Everything is being pushed to the side. It is all encompassing as it should be. There's no like hidden animosity either. Tom, who has to be the one to like, you know, call them and tell them all this, is being very tender towards them.
Tom, is he okay?
No, Rome, he's not okay.
But you can speak into his ear right now.
Ken has to get Shiv because she went away. And it's just a long tracking shot of him walking through this party, trying to seem okay. God, it's so horrible. It's like, it's this gigantic overload, and then it has to stifle itself, basically. Just masterful writing and directing. And Shiv is always like the last twig in the dam for me, so to speak. That didn't make sense. The last nail in the coffin, no. Her delivery of the line.
No, I can't have that.
Fuck, that gets me. She's not the only one reduced to like a childlike state, but hers is maybe the most heartbreaking.
Hey. Daddy?
It's taking them forever just to process like tiny pieces of information, like whether or not the phone is to his ear. Shiv like forgets how a phone even works at one point. Like who thinks of this shit when you're writing a scene? Like it's just mind-blowing. Or maybe it just happened like that, I don't know. Kendall starts trying to brute force it, but it's too late. He tries to get Frank to control the plane because he, I guess, gave him pilot lessons as a kid. Something I love so much about this is that they really feel like siblings here. There's so much implied history again in this show, and they get that across literally just with blocking. Roman is so much lower than all of them here. And then you have the thing of like Roman letting Ken and Shiv tell Khan, and it feels like a literal extension of like their childhood. Oh god, and Connor might be the saddest out of all of them. I mean, it is his wedding, but he does not react how we or these two were expecting him.
Well, is he? Well,
And one of the first things out of his mouth is, he never even liked me. I'm dead. I'm dead on the floor. This show murdered me. Yeah, my murderment pretty much sustains for the rest of the episode. They move places and we get a bit of a reset, but it's still chaotic, and everyone, including us, is just reeling from this. Roman is like not processing properly, and it's just like, Jesus Christ. Tom also has a really moment, and then these diabolical writers follow it up with this hilarious cut.
Do you think your uncle's gonna make it?
Do I what?
Sorry, is your uncle gonna make it to the wedding?
Roman has a moment alone with Jerry a couple of times. There's one where he just like has to leave the room, but there's another one.
Well, the room's all yours.
Fucking mess. Okay.
She's the only one who could have possibly comforted him, and now he's totally alone. He tries to open up for a second, and I think this is the moment where he formulated his anti-grief strategy that would carry him all the way to episode 9. I can't even say I only love this episode for the main plot point, because Connor and Willa actually clear the air, and it's so wholesome. Connor feels so vulnerable, which is super rare. Keep in mind, this is the same episode where he had a trauma trigger from the cake. I'm struggling here, just stay with me. They try and figure out if they should cancel or not, and he straight up asks her the money question, and they reach an understanding. A sort of understanding, at least, maybe for the first time in the series, and it's funny and kind of sweet, and they get married in the end. I'm jumping ahead a bit, but thinking about this moment just gives me chills. And it's giving me chills right fucking now. The sky in the background, and just like the timing with the score is like perfect for the emotional payoff of it. It just gets me, and their embrace and Connor's expression, it's beautiful and it's depressing, and everything about it is perfect. One of my favorite moments ever. This is Mark and Jesse's masterpiece. It's one of the best displays of acting and writing and directing I've ever seen, period. So why isn't it number one? Because Safe Room is number one. That's why.
We're safe here. What? How is it safe?
Calm down.
It's just a room.
Yep, here it is. You may have seen this coming, you may not have. Well, due to process of elimination, you would have known this is the one since the previous segment. Anyway, yep, Safe Room from the middle of season 2 is in fact my favorite Succession episode of all time. And that's for a few reasons. For one thing, it runs the emotional gambit in a way that isn't necessarily super unique to the whole run of the show, but it goes to so many extremes throughout its kind of splintered subplots, from starkly depressing to chaotically funny to legitimately touching to I don't know what the fuck. And these emotions never clash or feel disparate. It's such a well-structured episode. It all revolves so elegantly around this Waystar shooting, which is black comedy at its best.
We're thinking they were coming for me.
Coming for you.
Yeah, maybe, head of ATN, decapitate.
Wait, what? Who said that?
Especially with the reveal that comes at the very end.
It's a dark day.
Also, while I'm talking about structuring, I have to highlight the genius bookend choice of this one with Kendall on the roof, which is almost its own mini story in and of itself. Maybe most importantly though, there's not a second of filler over these 60 minutes. It's all just jam-packed with incredible scene after incredible scene without any breathing room. And again, it doesn't overwhelm, it's perfectly trickled out. So there's a lot to talk about here. To start with the broad strokes, we're fully kicking off the Pierce deal, which means this is the first episode with Holly Hunter. Goddamn, does she make a good impression. Kendall is in this weird state where he clearly feels like shit, but he's doing his job well, and that's probably because he feels like shit. He seems so disconnected for this whole episode, and I'll get into why I think that is a little later. Him and Logan are like vibing off each other really well. As they're trying to pull Rhea to their side. Brilliantly, they're able to keep this going during the emergency situation because they're literally trapped together. What a fantastic choice. Shiv is on the outside of all of this, and of course she's pissed off and questioning her position, and we all know why. But at the same time, it's not a simple dynamic because she's making them look shakier.
I take it you're not taking any offer seriously? Is he allowed to just say numbers?
It also emphasized Logan's empty promise to her, of course.
Siobhan, please.
Roman is off doing his own thing. He's in management training and hanging out with Brian, another character who leaves a hell of an impression.
I work hard, but I do not play hard. I play easy. Why would you play hard?
Good question.
Even though this is his only appearance, this all leads to some fantastic comedic moments.
Feel it.
Waystar diversity and harassment.
When the emergency pops off, Tom is talking to Ravenhead, trying to get to the bottom of his questionable reputation. Matthew McFadyen plays this so perfectly.
Just checking the till here, Mark, and it seems you're short a few million.
And I love how they just never get to continue this conversation. Him and Greg are stuck in a worse safe room, and that leads to some of their best lines ever.
Person can definitely fit through that window. A small person, an attack child. Because it doesn't feel fucking good, Greg! You're one of my best friends!
All culminating to Greg's blackmail being fully laid out. One of their best scenes ever. This is starting to get repetitive, I know, but seriously, the mixture of emotions here is just wondrous and could only ever happen between these two characters.
Where are they, those papers?
I'll never tell.
Connor's the one who has to attend Mo's funeral, where we learn all kinds of important stuff in that perfect Succession fashion again, where they're telegraphing things that will be highly important later on, without it taking away from the impact that these details will have when they become more central. Not only that, but they're able to effortlessly twist it into something hilarious. In fact, what might actually be the funniest Succession scene of all time. At least in my mind. I don't even want to describe it because it would be pointless. It speaks for itself, really.
Lester's wife is Maria. They were married for 15 years. Now she is sad.
I also love Connor's readiness to follow Willa's advice in this scenario. He goes from wanting to crack jokes in the eulogy to being legitimately stressed out about the whole thing. The amount of perfect setups in this one episode really is just mind-blowing to me. Roman and Jerry's relationship famously goes through a seismic shift in this episode. Such a unique scene, such a crazy dynamic. You know, after he was humiliated at the management training, and literally directly after he screws up with Tabitha as well. And that becomes a motif because they use that same setup again in Turnhaven. Just so much character work happening in this episode. But at the heart of all of this, lurking away in the corners, is Kendall's battle. The way this show brings about these emotions surrounding a character like Kendall fucking Roy and actually make them not only land, but have them be some of the most heartbreaking character writing I've ever seen. I don't know if I'll ever be able to explain it, but at least I can try to analyze what makes these scenes work so amazingly. First of all, the closest we come to Kendall actually being able to open up is the scene with Shiv, in an incredibly rare display of vulnerability, but still tragically in the face of so many emotional barriers. Shiv has her guard up because she feels she's being carved out, and I understand her suspicions, but in reality they're both victims of their father's manipulation. It's just that neither of them can actually discuss their positions because they just can't. It's like the pinnacle of Succession character writing, and it feeds into one of the best emotional displays that the show has to offer. Sarah Snook's performance when she realizes the genuine pain of her brother through all these nasty games that they're playing, it's some of her best acting, hands down. This scene leads directly and beautifully into the final scene, where I'm gonna back up a bit. We see this roof setting 3 times throughout the runtime. At the beginning, the end, and perhaps most subtly right in the middle of the chaos. Each time the sound design is isolating, the cinematography is vast, and Jeremy Strong is doing just enough with his performance. Nothing in the scene is overselling anything. In the first scene, which is also the cold open, he's interrupted by the plot, and we move right along. In the second return to this roof, I will mention that there's this excellent and haunting shot leaning right over the edge of the building, but it's all sandwiched between so much stuff that it's difficult to pay mind to what it is he's doing here. At the same time, though, you also have Logan repeating over and over, "Where's Kendall? Is he all right? Where's Kendall?"
Where's Kendall? Is he safe? Where's Kendall? Is he safe?
We'll find him.
Almost like the show is subliminally reminding you that something is wrong. Colin keeps answering, "We'll find him," and starts making phone calls. I think, and this is technically a theory, but I think Colin found him personally, and I think he found him at a crucial moment. Keep in mind, it wouldn't be hard to track him down. In the cold open, we see a security camera shot of Ken going up the stairs, and then there's Colin phoning ostensibly the security team.
It was just, he shot himself at his desk.
And it makes perfect sense to me on a character level as well, given everything between these two characters that's already built up and continues to be built up in the rest of the series. And yes, this would all be off screen, but in this show there's constantly stuff that's happening off screen. And honestly, I feel like it's more powerful to have a scene like this just kind of left up to the imagination. I feel like showing it would be too much, honestly. And yeah, even though Kendall takes similar actions in season 3, I think the handling of both these plot points makes sense given their respective places in Kendall's arc, and I don't think a more overt sequence disqualifies an allusion to the same thing far earlier on. Most crucially, it opens the ending of this episode to more ambiguity as to whether the glass casing was a direct response to Kendall's actions. It could be read 2 different ways or even both ways simultaneously, but the fact that we don't know, and also that Kendall doesn't know either, I think adds to the feeling of entrapment that the production design choice is symbolizing. Not only that, but I think this read of the situation epitomizes the show's themes of human decisions being funneled through corporate hierarchy by showing Kendall's mental struggles being addressed not by his family directly, but callously and facelessly through the company that his family represents. It's genius storytelling, and it is why I consider Safe Room to be the greatest Succession episode of all time, along with countless other reasons. And that's it. That's the list. It's over. We're done. Everybody give yourself a pat on the back for making it through. I don't know what's next for this. I do want to do some other stuff with this channel. I'm probably going to focus more on movies. That's more where my interests lie anyway. whatever it is, it's not gonna make something this long again for a good while at least. But you know, I'm glad I could finally finish this up. Hope you enjoyed, hope you found some value in it. Yep, that's basically it. So long.
Fuck off!